Welcome, dear traveler, to the empty boat. This is not just a place for stories, it is a sanctuary, a quiet harbor where the currents of life slow down and the noise of the world fades into stillness. Here, you are invited to pause, to breathe, and to journey inward. For within each of us lies a vast ocean of wisdom, waiting to be rediscovered. Tonight, we embark on a path illuminated by the timeless teachings of Zen, a path that does not lead to a distant destination, but instead guides us back to ourselves. These 25 stories are like lanterns, lighting the way through the shadows of doubt, fear, and longing. They whisper truths about letting go, finding peace in uncertainty, and embracing the beauty of impermanence. As you listen, let these tales wash over you like a gentle rain, softening the hard edges of your thoughts. Allow their words to settle in your heart, not as answers, but as seeds that may bloom in their own time, in their own way. So find a comfortable place to sit or lie down. Close your eyes if you wish. Let the rhythm of your breath guide you into the present moment. And as the first story unfolds, know that you are exactly where you need to be. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Together, let us explore the quiet wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 1. The way to the teacup. The night was serene, wrapped in a blanket of quietude. A crescent moon hung low over the horizon, casting its silvery glow upon the ancient temple nestled deep within the mountains. The temple stood like a sentinel of time, surrounded by towering pines whose needles whispered secrets to the wind. Somewhere nearby, the soft murmur of a stream could be heard, its waters flowing endlessly over smooth stones. It was a place where time seemed to pause, inviting all who entered to do the same. Inside the temple, an old monk sat cross-legged on a simple tatami mat. His robes were worn but clean, and his presence exuded a calmness that seemed to fill the room. Before him sat a young woman, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Her face bore the marks of sleepless nights, dark circles under her eyes, a furrowed brow, and lips pressed into a thin line. She had traveled far to reach this place, carrying with her an invisible burden that weighed heavily on her heart. "Master," she began, her voice trembling, "I feel as though I am drowning. My mind is a storm, my heart is heavy, and no matter what I do, I cannot find peace. Please, tell me, how can I let go of this suffering?" The monk opened his eyes slowly, their gaze steady and kind, like the surface of a still lake. He studied her for a moment, then reached for the teapot beside him. With deliberate movements, he poured steaming tea into a delicate porcelain cup and placed it gently before her. "Tell me," he said, his voice soft yet resonant, "how much does this teacup weigh?" The woman blinked, startled by the simplicity of the question. She hesitated, unsure how to respond. "It weighs almost nothing," she finally replied. "It's just a teacup." The monk nodded, as if satisfied with her answer. "And if you were to hold it for a minute, would it feel heavy?" he asked. "No," she said, shaking her head. "Not at all. And if you held it for an hour," he continued. Her brow furrowed slightly. "My arm would ache," she admitted. "And if you held it all day?" His voice remained calm, but his words seemed to echo in the quiet room. "Wouldn't be able to," she confessed. "My arm would give out." The monk smiled faintly, his expression neither amused nor condescending, but deeply understanding. "The weight of the teacup does not change," he said, "yet the longer you hold it, the heavier it feels. Life's burdens are much the same. The longer you cling to them, the more they weigh upon you. The woman stared at the teacup before her mind turning over his words. For a moment, the storm within her seemed to still. "But how do I put it down?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. The monk took a sip of his own tea, savoring it before setting the cup back on the table. "First," he said, "you must recognize that you are holding it. Many people carry their burdens without even realizing it. They grip their pain, their fears, their need for control, as if their very lives depend on it." He paused, letting his words settle in the air between them. Outside, the wind rustled through the trees, a sound both fleeting and eternal. Then, he continued, "You must decide to let it go, not because the burden disappears, but because you no longer wish to carry it. Letting go is not an act of weakness, it is an act of courage. It is a choice, made again and again, moment by moment." Tears welled up in the woman's eyes, but she did not wipe them away. "What if I don't know how?" she asked. "What if I let go and everything falls apart?" The monk's smile deepened, lines of wisdom etched into his face. "Ah, but my dear, everything is already falling apart. That is the nature of all things. To let go is not to lose, is to make space for what is yet to come." For a long time, the woman sat in silence, the teacup before her untouched. She thought about the weight she had been carrying, the expectations, the regrets, the endless striving for control. She thought about how tightly she had clung to these things, believing that if she just held on a little longer, she could fix everything. And yet, the harder she tried, the heavier it all became. Finally, she reached for the teacup. She lifted it to her lips, feeling its warmth seep into her hands. The tea was fragrant, soothing, and as she drank, she felt something within her begin to shift. It was not a sudden release, but a gentle untying of knots, a small but significant step toward freedom. The philosophy behind the story, this story of the teacup, carries a profound lesson rooted in Buddhist philosophy. In life, we often carry burdens, grief, anger, fear, regret without realizing how much they weigh us down. We cling to these emotions, believing that holding on to them gives us control or meaning. But as the monk illustrates, the act of holding on is what creates the weight. The longer we cling, the heavier our burdens become. In Buddhism, the concept of dukkha, suffering, arises from attachment. We suffer not because of what happens to us, but because of our resistance to it, our refusal to let go. By recognizing our attachments and choosing to release them, we free ourselves from unnecessary pain. A modern reflection in today's world, this lesson is especially relevant. Many of us live with chronic stress, anxiety, and burnout, fueled by our relentless pursuit of perfection and control. We hold on to past mistakes, future worries, and unrealistic expectations, believing that if we just try harder, we can manage it all. But like the teacup, the longer we hold these burdens, the more they exhaust us. Take a moment to reflect. What are you holding on to right now? Perhaps it's the fear of failure, the guilt of a strained relationship, or the endless demands of work. Each of these is a teacup you've chosen to carry. The question is, are you ready to set it down? Guided meditation. Letting go, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably, with your back straight and your hands resting gently in your lap. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose, then exhale slowly through your mouth. Picture yourself standing by a tranquil stream. In your hands, you hold a teacup. Inside the cup are all your worries, fears, and attachments. Feel their weight, acknowledge their presence, Now, imagine bending down and placing the teacup on the ground beside the stream. Watch as the water carries away your burdens, dissolving them into the flow of life. With each breath, feel yourself growing lighter, freer. Repeat silently to yourself, I release what I cannot control. I make space for peace. Stay here for as long as you need, allowing the stream to carry away whatever you're ready to let go of. When you're ready, open your eyes and return to the present moment. Closing thoughts, as the woman in the story learned, letting go is not a one-time act, but a practice, a gentle, compassionate choice we make each day. The next time you feel overwhelmed, remember the teacup. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to, and is it time to set it down? In the words of the Buddha, you only lose what you cling to. May this story and its teachings bring you a sense of lightness and clarity. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Let us continue together, one story at a time. 1. The Broken Vase. The morning sun rose gently over the hills, casting its golden light across the courtyard of a small temple. The air was crisp and fragrant with the scent of blooming jasmine. Birds chirped in the distance, their melodies weaving through the stillness like threads of silk. Inside the temple, the rhythmic sound of sweeping could be heard as the young novice monks began their daily chores. Among them was a boy named Taro, no older than 10, his small hands gripping a broom made of bamboo. His movements were slow and distracted, his face clouded with worry. Every so often, he would glance toward the corner of the courtyard where shards of porcelain lay scattered, a broken vase that had once adorned the altar of the temple. It was no ordinary vase. It had been a gift from a revered master who had passed away many years ago. To Taro, it seemed irreplaceable, sacred. Earlier that morning, while dusting the altar, Taro had accidentally knocked the vase to the ground. The crash echoed through the temple, shattering not only the vase, but also the boy's sense of peace. He had stood frozen, staring at the fragments, his heart pounding with fear. What would the head monk say? Would he be punished? Would he be cast out of the temple for his carelessness? Unable to bear the weight of his guilt, Taro left the shards where they fell and retreated to the garden, hoping to avoid the inevitable. But even there, surrounded by the beauty of nature, he found no solace. The image of the broken vase haunted him, a constant reminder of his mistake. It was in this state of turmoil that the head monk, Master Haru, found him. The old monk approached quietly, his footsteps barely disturbing the gravel path. He carried a calm presence, like a tree that had weathered countless storms. Sitting down beside Taro, he said nothing at first, simply gazing at the flowers swaying gently in the breeze. After a long silence, Master Haru spoke. "Taro," he said softly, "why are you hiding here?" Taro hesitated, his eyes fixed on the ground. I broke the vase," he confessed, his voice trembling. "It was an accident, but I know it was precious." "I didn't mean to." Master Haru raised a hand, stopping the boy mid-sentence. "Come with me," he said, rising to his feet. Reluctantly, Taro followed the monk back to the courtyard. The shards of the vase still lay where they had fallen, glinting in the sunlight. Taro's stomach churned as he looked at them, expecting anger or disappointment from the master. But to his surprise, Master Haru knelt down and began picking up the pieces, one by one. "Do you know the story of this vase?" the monk asked as he worked. Taro shook his head, too ashamed to speak. "This vase was given to us by my teacher. Many years ago," Master Haru said. "He told me it was already broken." Taro blinked in confusion. But it wasn't broken when he gave it to you. Master Haru smiled faintly. That is true. But my teacher taught me to see all things as they truly are, not as we wish them to be. He said, this vase will one day break, just as all things eventually do. If you can accept its impermanence now, you will not suffer when the time comes. The boy stared at the monk, trying to grasp the meaning of his words. But it was so beautiful, he murmured, and now it's ruined. Master Haru placed the last shard into a small wooden box and turned to Taro. The beauty of the vase did not disappear when it broke, he said. Its form has changed. Yes, but its essence remains. Just as the moon does not cease to exist when clouds cover it, the value of this vase does not vanish because it is no longer whole. Taro frowned, struggling to understand. But I still feel terrible, he admitted. I should have been more careful. The monk nodded. It is natural to feel regret when we make mistakes, but holding on to that regret will not mend the vase, nor will it bring you peace. What matters now is what you choose to do next. Will you let this moment teach you, or will you let it trap you? For the first time since the vase had shattered, Taro felt a glimmer of hope. What can I do? He asked. Master Haru gestured toward the box of shards. We will repair it, he said simply, not to hide the cracks, but to honor them. There is a practice called kintsugi, where broken pottery is mended with gold. The cracks become part of the object's history, making it even more beautiful than before. In the same way, our mistakes can become part of our growth if we allow them to. The philosophy behind this story reflects the Buddhist teaching of impermanence, or anicca. All things in life are transient, relationships, even our own bodies. When we cling to the illusion of permanence, we set ourselves up for suffering. The broken vase serves as a metaphor for this truth. It reminds us that nothing lasts forever, and that is precisely what makes each moment precious. The practice of kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with golden bodies, the idea that imperfections and flaws are not something to be hidden or erased. Instead, they are to be embraced as part of the object's unique story. Similarly, our mistakes and hardships can become sources of wisdom and strength if we approach them with acceptance and compassion. A modern reflection in today's world, perfectionism is a common burden. We strive to meet impossible standards, fearing failure and judgment. When we inevitably fall short, we often respond with harsh self-criticism, much like Taro did. But what if we viewed our mistakes not as failures, but as opportunities for growth? What if we saw our cracks as places where light can enter? Consider this. Is there something in your life that feels broken? Perhaps it's a relationship, a dream, or even your sense of self. Instead of mourning what was, can you find a way to honor what is? Like the vase repaired with gold, your challenges can add depth and beauty to your journey if you allow them to. Guided reflection, embracing imperfection, find a quiet space where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine holding a piece of broken pottery in your hands. This piece represents something in your life that feels damaged or incomplete. Now, visualize yourself repairing it with gold. As you work, notice how the cracks transform into intricate patterns, each one telling a story of resilience and renewal. Repeat silently to yourself, I am not defined by my mistakes. I am made whole by my willingness to grow. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of acceptance with you into your day. Closing thoughts, the broken vase teaches us that beauty exists not in perfection, but in authenticity. Life's cracks and imperfections are what make it meaningful. The next time you face a mistake or a loss, remember, it is not the end of the story. It is merely a new chapter waiting to be written. As the Buddha once said, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, I invite you to reflect on its message and share your thoughts. Let us continue together, one story at a time. 3. The empty boat. The lake was calm, its surface like a sheet of polished glass, reflecting the soft hues of the setting sun. A gentle breeze whispered through the reeds along the shore, carrying with it the faint scent of water lilies. It was the kind of evening that invited stillness, a moment when the world seemed to hold its breath. A lone fisherman sat in his small wooden boat, drifting lazily across the water. His net lay coiled at his feet, forgotten for the time being. He had come here not just to fish, but to escape the demands of his work, the quarrels at home, and the endless noise of life. Here on the lake, he could find a semblance of peace, or so he thought, as he leaned back against the edge of the boat. Letting his fingers trail in the cool water, he suddenly felt a jolt. Another boat had collided with his own, breaking the tranquility of the moment. Startled, he sat up, his heart pounding. His first reaction was anger. Who would be so careless? He muttered under his breath, turning to confront the other boater. But as he looked, he saw something unexpected. The other boat was empty. It had simply drifted into him, carried by the wind and the current. For a moment, he stared at the empty boat, his anger dissipating as quickly as it had arisen. There was no one to blame, no target for his frustration. The boat was just there, doing what boats do when left untethered. It floated, it moved, it collided. That was all. The fisherman sighed, leaning back once more. As he watched the empty boat drift away, a thought began to take shape in his mind, a thought that would stay with him long after the sun had set and the lake had turned to silver under the moonlight. The philosophy behind the story. This simple tale is one of the most well-known parables in Zen Buddhism, often attributed to the teachings of Chang Tu, a Taoist philosopher. On the surface, it appears to be a story about an accidental collision on a lake, but beneath its simplicity lies a profound lesson about the nature of anger, ego, and the way we perceive the world. When the fisherman believed another person was responsible for the collision, his immediate reaction was anger. He assumed intent, carelessness, disrespect, or even malice. But when he realized the boat was empty, his anger vanished. Why? Because there was no one to direct it toward. The situation remained the same. A collision had occurred, but his perception of it changed entirely. In this way, the empty boat becomes a metaphor for life itself. How often do we react with anger or frustration because we believe someone has wronged us? We assume their actions are intentional, that they are aimed at us personally. But what if, like the empty boat, these actions are simply the result of circumstances beyond anyone's control? What if the collision is not about us at all? Zen teaches us that much of our suffering comes from the stories we tell ourselves, the narratives we create around events. When we let go of these stories, when we stop taking things personally, we free ourselves from unnecessary pain. The empty boat reminds us that our reactions are often more about our own minds than the external world. A modern reflection in today's fast-paced, interconnected world. It's easy to feel like we're constantly colliding with others. A rude comment on social media, a driver cutting us off in traffic, a colleague who doesn't pull their weight. Each of these can trigger feelings of anger, resentment, or even outrage. But how often do we pause to consider whether these actions are truly personal? Imagine you're driving to work and another car swerves into your lane without signaling. Your immediate reaction might be anger. How dare they? Don't they see me here? But what if you knew that the driver was distracted because they were rushing to the hospital to see a loved one? Or what if they simply didn't see you? Would your anger remain the same? The truth is, most of the time, people's actions have little to do with us. They are like the empty boat, moving according to their own current stress, fear, distraction, or even ignorance. By recognizing this, we can choose to respond with understanding rather than reactivity. Guided reflection, practicing non-reactivity, a quiet place where you can sit comfortably, close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Picture yourself sitting in a small boat on a calm lake. Feel the gentle rocking of the water beneath you, the warmth of the sun on your skin. Now, imagine another boat drifting toward you. It bumps into your boat, causing a slight jolt. Notice your initial reaction. Do you feel annoyed, startled, angry? Allow yourself to feel whatever arises, without judgment. Next, look closer at the other boat. See that it is empty, carried by the wind and the current. Realize that there is no one to blame, no intent behind the collision. Let your feelings of anger or frustration dissolve. Like ripples fading on the surface of the water, repeat silently to yourself, I release the need to take things personally. I choose peace over reactivity. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of calm into your day. Closing thoughts. The story of the empty boat invites us to examine our own reactions and the assumptions that fuel them. It challenges us to let go of the ego-driven belief that everything is about us. In doing so, we create space for compassion, understanding, and inner peace. The next time you feel anger rising within you, ask yourself, is this situation truly personal, or is it just an empty boat? Can you let go of the story and simply observe the moment for what it is? As the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, when another person makes you suffer, it is because they suffer deeply within themselves, and their suffering is spilling over. They do not need punishment, they need help. That is the message they are sending. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 4. The bamboo grove. The sun was high in the sky, casting dappled light through the canopy of a bamboo grove. The tall stalks swayed gently in the breeze, their green leaves whispering secrets to one another. The grove stood at the edge of a small village, where its presence was both revered and taken for granted, quiet guardian that had witnessed generations come and go. In the heart of the grove, an old monk named Master Ren often sat in meditation. His favorite spot was beneath a particularly tall bamboo, whose trunks seemed to stretch endlessly toward the heavens. The villagers often came to him seeking guidance, for his wisdom was said to be as deep as the roots of the bamboo itself. One day, a young man named Hero arrived at the grove. His face was tense, his shoulders hunched with the weight of invisible burdens. He was known in the village as a hard worker, but also as someone who was easily frustrated. Lately, his anger had grown worse, boiling over at the smallest inconveniences. leaving him exhausted and ashamed. "Master Ren," Hero called out, bowing deeply when he saw the monk sitting beneath the bamboo. "I need your help. My temper is like a wildfire. It burns everything in its path, including me. I try to control it, but the harder I try, the more it consumes me. What should I do?" The monk opened his eyes slowly, as if waking from a dream. He studied Hero for a moment, then gestured for him to sit. Hero obeyed, folding his legs beneath him on the soft earth. Master Ren pointed to the bamboo around them. "Do you see these stalks?" he asked. Hero nodded, though he wasn't sure what the monk meant. "They are strong, aren't they?" The monk continued, tall and unyielding. "Yes," Hero agreed. "They seem unbreakable. And yet," Master Ren said, "when the wind blows, they bend. Watch." At that moment, a gust of wind swept through the grove. The bamboo swayed gracefully, their slender trunks bowing to the force of the breeze. When the wind passed, they returned to their upright positions, as if nothing had happened. "Now imagine," the monk said, "if the bamboo refused to bend, what would happen?" Hero thought for a moment. "It would break," he replied. "Exactly," Master Ren said, his voice calm but firm. "The bamboo survives, not because it resists the wind, but because it yields to it. It does not fight against the forces it cannot control. Instead, it moves with them, allowing itself to adapt and endure." Hero frowned, trying to connect the lesson to his own struggles. "But what does this have to do with my anger?" he asked. The monk smiled faintly. "Your anger is like the wind," he explained. "It is a force of nature, powerful, unpredictable, and beyond your control. The more you resist it, the more it will push against you, until something inside you breaks. But if you learn to bend with it, to acknowledge its presence without letting it consume you, you will find that it passes more quickly than you think." Hero looked down at his hands, calloused from years of labor. "But how do I bend?" he asked quietly. "How do I stop fighting?" Master Ren reached into the folds of his robe and pulled out a small wooden flute. Without a word, he began to play a simple melody, the notes rising and falling like the wind itself. The sound filled the grove, blending with the rustling of the bamboo and the distant chirping of birds. Hero closed his eyes, letting the music wash over him. When the song ended, the monk spoke again. "Did you notice how the flute created music? From the air, it did not block the wind, it shaped it. In the same way, you can shape your anger. Instead of suppressing it or letting it explode, you can channel it into something constructiver. Conversation, an action, even a breath." Hero opened his eyes, feeling a flicker of understanding. "So, I don't have to fight my anger," he said slowly. "I just have to let it move through me, like the wind through the bamboo." Master Ren nodded. "Yes, and remember, bending does not mean weakness. It means resilience. The bamboo bends, but it does not break. So too can you." The philosophy behind the story of the bamboo grove, teaches us about the importance of flexibility and resilience in the face of life's challenges. In Buddhist philosophy, resistance often leads to suffering. When we fight against emotions like anger, fear, or sadness, we give them more power over us. By acknowledging and accepting these emotions, we allow them to pass naturally. Like the wind through the bamboo dot, this idea aligns with the concept of equanimity as state, of mental calmness and balance, even in difficult situations. Equanimity does not mean suppressing emotions or becoming indifferent. Rather, it means cultivating the ability to observe our emotions without being overwhelmed by them. A modern reflection in today's world. Many of us struggle with anger and frustration, whether it's caused by traffic jams, workplace stress, or personal conflicts. These emotions can feel overwhelming. We may try to suppress them, only to have them resurface later, stronger than before. Or we may lash out, causing harm to ourselves and others. The lesson of the bamboo reminds us that there is another way. Instead of resisting our emotions, we can learn to work with them. This might mean taking a deep breath before responding to a provocation, journaling about our feelings, or simply giving ourselves permission to feel without judgment. Consider this: the next time you feel anger rising within you, pause and ask yourself, what would the bamboo do? Can you bend instead of breaking? Can you let the emotion move through you without clinging to it? Guided reflection. Becoming like bamboo. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself standing in a bamboo grove, surrounded by tall, graceful stalks. Feel the ground beneath your feet, solid and steady. Now, picture a gentle wind beginning to blow. As it moves through the grove, the bamboo sways, bending but never breaking. Imagine yourself as one of these stalks. Feel the wind of your emotions, anger, frustration, fear passing through you. Allow yourself to bend with it, to move without resistance. Repeat silently to yourself, I am strong like the bamboo. I bend, but I do not break. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of resilience with you into your day. Closing thoughts. The bamboo grove reminds us that strength is not found in rigidity, but in flexibility. Life will always bring challenges, just as the wind will always blow. But by learning to bend with these forces, we can endure without breaking. As the Zen saying goes, be like bamboo, flexible yet firmly rooted, yielding yet unbreakable. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 5. The stone and the stream. The mountains were alive with the sound of flowing water, a symphony composed by nature itself. A narrow stream wound its way through the valley, its crystal-clear waters tumbling over rocks and roots as it journeyed toward the river below. Along its banks, wild flowers swayed in the breeze, their colors vibrant against the muted greens and browns of the forest. At the edge of the stream sat an elderly monk named Master Jiro. His robes were simple, his sandals worn from years of walking these mountain paths. He often came here to meditate, finding solace in the endless movement of the water. To him, the stream was not just a feature of the landscape, it was a teacher, offering lessons to those who were willing to listen. One day, a young man named Aki arrived at the stream, his face drawn with frustration. He had been seeking Master Jiro for weeks, hoping to find answers to the questions that plagued him. When he finally found the monk sitting quietly by the water, he bowed deeply before speaking. Master Aki began, his voice tinged with desperation. I feel stuck. No matter how hard I try, I cannot seem to move forward in my life. Obstacles keep appearing, blocking my path. I push and push, but nothing changes. What should I do? Master Jiro opened his eyes slowly, his gaze calm and steady. Instead of answering immediately, he gestured for Aki to sit beside him. The young man obeyed, though his impatience was evident in the way he fidgeted with the hem of his tunic. For a while, neither of them spoke. The only sounds were the gentle rush of the stream and the occasional chirping of birds. Finally, Master Jiro pointed to a large stone in the middle of the water. It was smooth and rounded, its surface glistening in the sunlight. "Do you see that stone?" the monk asked. Aki nodded. "Yes, Master." "And do you see how the water flows around it?" Again, Aki nodded, though he wasn't sure where this was going. "The stone is like the obstacles in your life," Master Jiro said. "It stands firm, unyielding, blocking the path of the stream. But does the stream stop? Does it turn back?" "No," Aki replied, watching the water swirl round the stone. "It keeps moving." "Exactly," the monk said. "The stream does not fight the stone. It does not try to push it out of the way. Instead, it adapts. It finds a new path, flowing around the obstacle with grace and persistence. Over time, it even wears the stone down, shaping it without force." Aki frowned, trying to grasp the meaning of the monk's words. "But I am not like the stream," he said. "I can't just flow around my problems. They are too big, too heavy." Master Jiro smiled faintly. "That is because you are trying to be the stone," he said. "You resist, you push, you fight. And in doing so, you exhaust yourself. But if you learn to be like the stream, flexible, patient, and persistent, you will find that no obstacle is truly insurmountable." The young man fell silent, his mind turning over the monk's words. He watched the stream more closely now, noticing how effortlessly it moved, how it seemed to embrace every twist and turn in its path. Even when it encountered a cluster of stones, it did not falter. It simply adjusted, finding a way forward. "But what if the obstacle is too big?" Oki asked after a while. "What if it blocks the entire stream?" Master Jiro chuckled softly. "Then the stream will grow," he said. "It will rise until it overflows the obstacle, or it will carve a new path entirely. Water is soft, but it is also powerful. It does not give up. It transforms." The philosophy behind the story of the stone and the stream illustrates a core principle of Zen, the power of adaptability and persistence. In life, we all encounter obstacles, challenges that seem immovable, situations that feel impossible to overcome. Our instinct is often to resist, to fight against these obstacles with brute force. But as the monk teaches, resistance only leads to exhaustion and frustration. In Buddhist philosophy, there is a concept called Wu Wei, often translated as effortless action or non-resistance. It does not mean passivity or giving up. Rather, it means aligning oneself with the natural flow of life. Like the stream, we can learn to navigate around obstacles instead of wasting energy trying to remove them. Over time, our persistence and flexibility can transform even the most daunting challenges. A modern reflection in today's world. Many of us feel stuck at some point in our lives. Perhaps it's a career that isn't progressing, a relationship that feels strained, or a personal goal that seems out of reach. We push harder, work longer hours, or try to force solutions, only to find ourselves more frustrated than before. The lesson of the stream reminds us that there is another way. Instead of fighting against the obstacles in our path, we can learn to adapt. This might mean rethinking our approach, seeking help from others, or simply being patient as we wait for the right moment to act. By embracing flexibility, we conserve our energy and open ourselves to new possibilities. Consider this. Is there an obstacle in your life that you've been resisting? What would happen if you stopped pushing and started flowing around it instead? Guided reflection. flowing like the stream. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself as a stream flowing gently through a forest. Feel the coolness of the water, the softness of the earth beneath you. Now, picture a large stone in your path. Notice how the water moves around it, creating ripples but never stopping. As you watch, imagine yourself flowing around your own obstacles, adapting with ease and grace. Repeat silently to yourself, I am like the stream. I flow, I adapt, I persist. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of fluidity with you into your day. Closing thoughts, the stone and the stream remind us that strength is not always about force. Sometimes it is about flexibility. Life will always present challenges, but by learning to flow with them instead of against them, we can find a way forward. As the Taoist philosopher Lao Tzu once said, water is fluid, soft, and yielding, but water will wear away rock, which is rigid and cannot yield. As a rule, whatever is fluid, soft, and yielding will overcome whatever is rigid and hard. This is another paradox. What is soft is strong. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 6. The Mirror of Truth. A temple stood at the edge of a quiet village, its wooden beams weathered by time but still strong, like the wisdom it housed. Inside, the air was cool and filled with the faint scent of incense. At the center of the main hall hung a large, polished bronze mirror. It was said to be ancient, a relic from a time long past, and its surface gleamed with an almost otherworldly clarity. One morning, a wealthy merchant named Daichi arrived at the temple. He was known throughout the region for his success in business, his grand estate, and his fine clothes. Yet despite all his wealth, Daichi was deeply unhappy. He felt restless, burdened by a sense of emptiness he could not explain. No matter how much he acquired or achieved, satisfaction always seemed just out of reach. Hearing of the wisdom of Master Eiji, the temple's head monk Daichi decided to seek his guidance. When he entered the temple, he found the old monk sitting cross-legged on a simple mat, his eyes closed in meditation. Daichi bowed respectfully, though his impatience was evident in the way he shifted his weight from foot to foot. Master, Daichi began, I have come seeking your help. I have everything a man could want, wealth, power, respect, but none of it brings me peace. My mind is restless, my heart is heavy. What must I do to find happiness? Master Eiji opened his eyes, slowly, as if waking from a deep sleep. He studied Daichi for a moment, then gestured toward the bronze mirror hanging on the wall. Come, the monk said, rising to his feet. Let me show you something. Daichi followed the monk to the mirror, his curiosity piqued. Standing before it, he saw his own reflection staring back at him, his fine silk robes, his carefully groomed beard, his proud posture. But as he looked closer, he noticed something unsettling. Despite his outward appearance of success, his eyes seemed tired, his expression strained. What do you see? Master Eiji asked. I see myself, Daichi replied, though his voice wavered slightly. And what do you think of the man you see? The monk pressed. Daich. I hesitated, unsure how to answer. Finally, he said, I see a man who has worked hard, who has achieved much. But I also see someone who feels lost, as if something important is missing. Master Ag nodded, as if he had expected this response. This mirror does not lie, he said. It shows you exactly what is there, no more, no less. But tell me, Daichi, when was the last time you truly looked at yourself, not just in a mirror, but within? The merchant frowned, confused. What do you mean, master? I mean, the monk said, when was the last time you sat quietly with yourself, without distractions, and asked, who am I? What do I truly value? What am I running from? Daichi opened his mouth to respond, but no words came. He realized he did not know the answers to these questions. His days were filled with meetings, transactions, and plans for the future. He had spent so much time looking outward at his possessions, his status, his goals that he had never paused to look inward. Seeing the confusion on Daichi's face, Master Eiji continued. Many people believe that happiness comes from what they can acquire or achieve. They chase after wealth, recognition, and pleasure, thinking these things will fill the void inside them. But the truth is, the more they look outward, the further they drift from themselves. He placed a hand on the merchant's shoulder, his touch light but grounding. The mirror of truth is not outside you, Daichi. It is within. To find peace, you must turn your gaze inward and confront what you see: your fears, your desires, your true self. Only then can you begin to understand what truly matters. The philosophy behind the story of the mirror of truth, reflects a central teaching in Buddhism, the importance of self-awareness and introspection. In our pursuit of external success, we often neglect the inner work required for true happiness. We become so focused on achieving, acquiring, and impressing others that we lose sight of who we are and what we genuinely need. In Buddhist philosophy, this tendency is linked to the concept of dukkha, or suffering, which arises from attachment and ignorance. When we cling to external things, money, status, relationships, as sources of happiness, we set ourselves up for disappointment. These things are impermanent and cannot satisfy the deeper longing for meaning and connection that resides within us. The mirror in the story serves as a metaphor for self-reflection. Just as the mirror reveals Daichi's outward appearance, introspection reveals the state of our inner world. By turning our attention inward, we can begin to understand the root causes of our dissatisfaction and take steps toward healing and growth. A modern reflection in today's fast-paced, achievement-oriented society, many of us can relate to Daichi's struggle. We measure our worth by external markers of success: our careers, our possessions, our social media presence, and wonder why we still feel unfulfilled. The constant pressure to perform and compete leaves little room for self-reflection, and over time, we may lose touch with our true selves. The lesson of the mirror invites us to pause and ask, who am I beneath the roles I play and the masks I wear? What do I truly value? Am I living in alignment with those values, or am I chasing after things that ultimately leave me empty? Consider this. When was the last time you sat quietly with yourself, without distractions, and simply observed your thoughts and feelings? What might you discover if you allowed yourself to look inward? Guided reflection. Looking into your inner mirror, find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine standing before a large, clear mirror. As you look into it, see not just your physical reflection, but the emotions, thoughts, and beliefs that reside within you. Ask yourself, what do I see? What am I holding on to that no longer serves me? What do I truly desire? Allow whatever arises to come without judgment. simply observing. Repeat silently to yourself, I turn my gaze inward. I see myself clearly. I accept myself fully. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of self-awareness with you into your day. Closing. Thoughts, the mirror of truth, reminds us that the answers we seek are not found in the external world, but within ourselves. By cultivating self-awareness and embracing our inner truths, we can begin to let go of the illusions that keep us trapped and move toward a life of greater authenticity and peace. As the Buddha once said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 7. The farmer's luck. The village lay nestled in a quiet valley, surrounded by rolling hills that turned golden under the afternoon sun. It was a place where life moved slowly, where the rhythm of the seasons dictated the pace of existence. In this village lived an old farmer, known simply as Taro. He was neither rich nor poor, neither celebrated nor ignored. His life was ordinary, yet his calm demeanor made him stand out among the villagers. One day, something unusual happened. The farmer's only horse, a strong and beautiful animal that he relied on for plowing his fields, broke free from its tether and ran away into the hills. When the villagers heard the news, they came to offer their condolences. "What terrible luck!" one of them exclaimed. "How will you manage without your horse?" The farmer shrugged, his expression serene. "Who can say what is good or bad?" he replied. "All I know is that the horse is gone." The villagers exchanged puzzled looks, but said no more. They couldn't understand how the farmer could remain so calm in the face of such misfortune. A few days later, the horse returned, but it was not alone. It had brought with it a wild stallion, a magnificent creature with a glossy coat and fiery eyes. When the villagers saw this, they rushed to the farmer's house to congratulate him. "What incredible luck!" they cried. "Now you have 2 horses instead of 1. Again, the farmer simply shrugged. "Who can say what is good or bad?" He said, "All I know is that there are now 2 horses in my stable." The villagers were baffled by his response, but they didn't press the matter. To them, it was clear that the farmer's fortune had taken a turn for the better. Not long after, the farmer's son decided to tame the wild stallion. As he tried to ride it, the horse bucked violently, throwing him to the ground. The young man landed awkwardly, breaking his leg. Once again, the villagers gathered at the farmer's house, this time to express their sympathy. "What terrible luck," they said. "Your poor son, how will he help you with the harvest now?" The farmer, as always, remained unperturbed. "Who can say what is good or bad?" he replied. "All I know is that my son has a broken leg." The villagers shook their heads, unable to comprehend the farmer's indifference. To them, the situation was clearly tragic. A few weeks later, the country went to war. Soldiers arrived in the village, conscripting all the able-bodied young men to fight. Many of the villagers' sons were taken away, leaving their families behind in tears. But because of his injury, the farmer's son was spared. Once again, the villagers came to see the farmer. "What incredible luck," they said. "Your son is safe, while ours must go to war." And once again, the farmer shrugged. "Who can say what is good or bad?" he said. "All I know is that my son remains here." The philosophy behind the story of the farmer's luck, is a classic Zen parable that illustrates the concept of non-attachment and the impermanence of all things. In life, we often label events as good or bad based on our immediate reactions and limited understanding. But as the story shows, what seems like misfortune may lead to unexpected blessings, and what appears to be a stroke of luck may bring unforeseen challenges. In Buddhist philosophy, this perspective aligns with the teaching of anicca, or impermanence. Everything in life is transient: our joys, our sorrows, our successes, and our failures. By clinging to labels and judgments, we create unnecessary suffering for ourselves. The farmer's calm acceptance of each event reflects the Zen ideal of equanimity, the ability to remain balanced and at peace, regardless of external circumstances. This story also touches on the idea of wu-wei, a Taoist principle often translated as effortless action or going with the flow. The farmer does not resist or cling to any outcome. He simply observes what happens and adapts accordingly. In doing so, he avoids the emotional turbulence that comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. A modern reflection in today's world. It's easy to fall into the trap of labeling events as good or bad. A missed promotion feels like a failure, while a new job offer seems like a triumph. A breakup feels devastating, while a new relationship feels like a fresh start. But how often do we pause to consider the bigger picture? How often do we recognize that what seems like a setback might actually be a stepping stone, or that what seems like a blessing might come with hidden challenges? Consider this. Have you ever experienced a moment in your life that felt like a disaster at the time, only to realize later that it led to something positive? Or vice versa, have you ever celebrated a victory, only to find that it brought complications you hadn't anticipated? The lesson of the farmer's luck invites us to let go of rigid judgments and embrace uncertainty. Instead of reacting emotionally to every twist and turn, we can cultivate a sense of curiosity and openness. What if, instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" we asked, "What can I learn from this?" Guided reflection, embracing uncertainty. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself standing in a vast field, open to the sky above. Feel the ground beneath your feet, solid yet ever-changing. Now, think of a recent event in your life that you labeled as good or bad. Picture it clearly in your mind. As you hold this image, repeat silently to yourself, "Who can say what is good or bad? All I know is that this moment is part of my journey." Allow yourself to release any judgment or attachment to the event. Instead, focus on the lessons it might hold, the opportunities it might present. Trust that, like the farmer, you cannot yet see the full picture, and that's okay when you're ready. Open your eyes and carry this sense of openness with you into your day. Closing thoughts. The story of the farmer's luck reminds us that life is a series of unfolding events, each connected in ways we cannot always see. By letting go of rigid judgments and embracing the flow of life, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and open ourselves to the wisdom of the present moment. As the Zen master Shunryu Suzuki once said, "Life is like stepping onto a boat, which is about to sail out to sea and sink. But when you accept that, you can enjoy the journey." Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 8. The Candle in the Wind. The monastery stood atop a hill, its stone walls weathered by centuries of wind and rain. From its vantage point, one could see the vast expanse of the valley below, fields of golden rice swaying in the breeze, rivers glinting like silver threads under the sun, and distant mountains shrouded in mist. It was a place of peace, where monks devoted their lives to meditation and the pursuit of wisdom. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars began to appear, a young monk named Cato approached his teacher, Master Sagan. Cato had been struggling with feelings of fear and uncertainty, his mind restless despite his best efforts to find calm through meditation. "Master," Cato said, bowing deeply, "I feel as though my life is a constant battle against forces I cannot control. The winds of change are too strong, and I am but a fragile flame. How can I protect myself from being extinguished?" Master Sogen regarded the young monk with a gentle smile. "Come with me," he said, rising from his seat. He led Cato to the temple's meditation hall, where a single candle burned on the altar. Its flame flickered softly, casting long shadows on the walls. "Do you see this candle?" the master asked. "Yes, Master," Cato replied. "What do you notice about its flame?" Cato studied the candle for a moment. "It is steady now," he said, "but if the wind were to blow, it would waver or even go out." Master Sogen nodded. "Indeed, the flame is vulnerable to the wind, just as we are vulnerable to the changes and challenges of life. But tell me, Cato, what gives the flame its strength?" The young monk frowned, unsure how to answer. "Its strength comes from the wax, or perhaps the wick." The master shook his head. "No, Cato. The flame's strength comes from its ability to dance with the wind. Watch closely." With that, Master Sogen opened a nearby window, allowing a soft breeze to enter the room. The flame began to flicker, bending and swaying in response to the air's movement. For a moment, it seemed as though it might go out, but then it steadied, itself burning even brighter than before. "You see," the master said, "the flame does not resist the wind. It moves with it, adapting to its rhythm. In doing so, it survives and even thrives." Cato watched the flame, mesmerized by its resilience. "But what if the wind grows stronger?" he asked. "What if it becomes a storm?" Master Sogen closed the window, sealing the room once more. "Then the flame must find shelter," he said, "just as we must seek refuge within ourselves when the storms of life become too fierce. But remember, Cato, the goal is not to avoid the wind entirely. Without it, the flame would grow stagnant, consuming all its fuel without purpose. The wind challenges the flame, tests its strength, and keeps it alive." The young monk fell silent, his mind turning over the master's words. He realized that he had been fighting against the winds of change, trying to shield himself from every challenge and discomfort. But in doing so, he had only made himself more fragile, more fearful of life's inevitable uncertainties. "Master," Cato said at last, "how can I learn to dance with the wind as the flame does?" Master Sogen placed a hand on the young monk's shoulder. "Begin by observing your own breath," he said. "Each inhale and exhale is like a breeze, moving through you, sustaining you. Do not resist it, simply follow its rhythm. In time, you will come to see that the winds of life are not your enemy, they are your teacher." The philosophy behind the story of the candle and the wind offers a profound lesson about resilience and adaptability. In life, we often encounter challenges that feel like gusts of wind threatening to extinguish our inner flame. Our instinct may be to resist these forces, to build walls around ourselves, in an attempt to stay safe. But as the story illustrates, resistance only makes us more vulnerable. True strength lies in our ability to adapt, to move with life's currents rather than against them. This idea aligns with the Buddhist concept of anicca, or impermanence. Everything in life is constantly changing. The seasons, our circumstances, even our thoughts and emotions. By accepting this truth and learning to flow with it, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. The story also touches on the importance of finding balance. While it is essential to adapt to life's challenges, there are times when we must seek shelter, protecting our inner flame until the storm passes. This balance between openness and self-preservation is key to maintaining resilience. A modern reflection in today's world, many of us feel like Cato, overwhelmed by the pace of change, the unpredictability of events, and the pressures of daily life. We may try to control everything around us, clinging to routines and expectations in an effort to create stability. But as the story reminds us, life is inherently uncertain. The winds of change will always blow, no matter how tightly we hold. Consider this. Have you ever faced a situation where your plans were upended, forcing you to adapt? Perhaps it was a career setback, a relationship ending, or an unexpected health challenge. How did you respond? Did you resist the change, or did you find a way to move with it? The lesson of the candle invites us to embrace life's uncertainties. With grace, instead of fearing the wind, we can learn to dance with it, trusting that each challenge holds the potential for growth. Guided reflection, dancing with the wind. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself as a candle, your inner flame burning brightly. Feel its warmth, its light. Now, picture a gentle breeze beginning to blow. Notice how your flame flickers, bending, but never going out. Allow yourself to move with the breeze, adapting to its rhythm. Repeat silently to yourself, I am resilient. I move with life's changes, not against them. If you wish, imagine the breeze growing stronger, becoming a wind. Visualize yourself finding shelter, not to escape the wind, but to protect your flame until it is ready to shine again. Trust that you have the strength to endure. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of resilience with you into your day. Closing thoughts, the candle in the wind teaches us that life's challenges are not meant to break us, but to help us grow. By learning to adapt and find balance, we can keep our inner flame burning brightly, no matter how strong the winds may blow. As the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, smile, breathe, and go slowly. You are strong enough to face any storm. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 9. The Bell That Doesn't Ring. The temple bell was a magnificent piece of craftsmanship, cast from bronze and adorned with intricate carvings of lotus flowers and swirling clouds. It hung in a wooden pavilion at the edge of the temple grounds, overlooking a serene pond where koi fish glided beneath the surface. For generations, the bell had been rung each morning and evening, its deep, resonant tones echoing through the valley, calling monks and villagers alike to mindfulness and prayer. But over time, something changed. The bell's sound grew dull, its once clear tone muffled, as though it was struggling to speak. Eventually, it stopped ringing altogether. No matter how hard the monks struck it with the mallet, the bell produced only a hollow, lifeless thud. The villagers began to whisper among themselves, wondering if this was an omen or a sign that the temple had lost its spiritual power. One day, a young monk named Ryo approached the head monk, Master Genjo, with a look of concern. "Master," he said, bowing deeply, "the bell no longer sings. We have tried everything, striking it harder, cleaning its surface, but nothing works. What should we do?" Master Genjo nodded thoughtfully. "Come with me," he said, leading Ryo to the bell pavilion. Together, they stood before the silent bell, its bronze surface tarnished and dull under the midday sun. "Tell me, Ryo," the master said, "what do you see?" Ryo examined the bell closely. "I see dust and dirt covering its surface," he replied, "and there are cobwebs inside." Master Genjo smiled faintly. "Yes," he said, "the bell has not been cared for. Its voice is still there, but it is buried beneath neglect. Before we can expect it to sing again, we must first restore it to its true nature." With that, the master handed Ryo a bucket of water, a cloth, and a small brush. "Begin by cleaning the bell," he instructed. "Remove the dust, the dirt, and the cobwebs. Work slowly and mindfully, paying attention to every detail." Ryo hesitated, unsure how such a simple task could solve the problem. But he trusted his teacher and set to work. As he cleaned the bell, he noticed things he hadn't seen before: the delicate patterns etched into the bronze, the way the light played across its surface, the tiny imperfections that told the story of its age. It took hours, but when Ryo finally stepped back, the bell gleamed in the sunlight, its beauty restored. Master Genjo returned, carrying a small mallet. He handed it to Ryo and said, "Now, strike the bell." Ryo raised the mallet and struck the bell gently. To his amazement, a deep, rich tone rang out, filling the air with its resonance. The sound was clear and pure, like the voice of the bell had been reborn. "How is this possible?" Ryo asked. Turning to his teacher, Master Genjo placed a hand on the young monk's shoulder. "The bell did not lose its voice," he said. "It was simply obscured by what had accumulated over time. In the same way, our true nature, our clarity, our peace, our wisdom is always within us, but it becomes buried beneath the dust of daily life, distractions, fears, attachments, and regrets. To hear our inner voice again, we must take the time to clean away what does not belong." The philosophy behind the story of the silent bell, serves as a powerful metaphor for the human mind and spirit. Just as the bell's voice was dulled by neglect, our inner clarity and peace can become obscured by the mental and emotional clutter we accumulate over time. This clutter might take the form of unresolved emotions, negative thought patterns, or the constant noise of modern life. In Buddhist philosophy, this idea aligns with the practice of Shoshin, or beginner's mind. By approaching ourselves and the world with curiosity and openness, we can begin to notice the layers of dust that obscure our true nature. Through mindfulness and self-reflection, we can gently clean away these layers, allowing our inner light to shine once more. The story also highlights the importance of care and maintenance, not just for physical objects like the bell, but for our own well-being. Just as the bell required cleaning to regain its voice, we too must engage in regular practices that nurture our mental, emotional, and spiritual health. A modern reflection: in today's fast-paced world, it's easy to feel like the silent bell. Many of us are so busy juggling responsibilities, meeting deadlines, and staying connected that we lose touch with our inner selves. Over time, this can leave us feeling disconnected, uninspired, or even empty. Consider this. When was the last time you paused to clean your bell? Have you taken the time to reflect on what might be obscuring your inner clarity? Perhaps it's the constant barrage of notifications on your phone, unresolved conflicts in your relationships, or the pressure to meet societal expectations. Whatever it may be, the first step to restoring your inner voice is recognizing what needs to be cleared away. The lesson of the bell invites us to approach ourselves with patience and care. Just as Ryo cleaned the bell slowly and mindfully, we too can take small, deliberate steps to reconnect with our true nature. Guided reflection, clearing the dust. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself as a bell, standing tall and strong. Picture the dust and cobwebs that have gathered on your surface, each one representing a distraction, fear, or attachment that weighs you down. Now, visualize yourself gently cleaning the bell. With each stroke of the cloth, you remove a layer of dust, revealing the shining bronze beneath. As you work, repeat silently to yourself, I clear away what does not serve me. I uncover my true nature. When you're ready, imagine striking the bell. Hear its clear, resonant tone ringing out, filling the space around you. Trust that this voice has always been within you, waiting to be heard. Open your eyes and carry this sense of clarity with you into your day. Closing thoughts. The bell that doesn't ring reminds us that our true nature is never lost. It is simply hidden beneath the layers of life's distractions and challenges. By taking the time to care for ourselves, to clear away what does not serve us, we can rediscover the clarity and peace that have always been within us. As the Zen master Dogen once said, do not follow the ideas of others, but learn to listen to the voice within yourself. Your body and mind will become clear, and you will realize the unity of all things. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 10. The hungry ghost. The village sat at the edge of a dense forest, where the shadows of ancient trees stretched long across the fields as the sun began to set. It was a quiet place, its people simple and hard-working, their lives shaped by the cycles of planting and harvest. Yet despite the village's peaceful appearance, there was one story that haunted its residents, a tale of the hungry ghost. It was said that long ago, a man named Kenji had lived in the village. He was known for his insatiable greed, always wanting more than he needed. No matter how much wealth he accumulated, it was never enough. His house grew larger, his storerooms fuller, but so did his hunger for more. He envied his neighbors' possessions, hoarded food even when others went hungry, and refused to share what he had, fearing it would leave him with less. When Kenji died, the villagers whispered that his spirit could not find peace. According to legend, he became a hungry ghoster, being cursed to wander the earth, consumed by an endless craving that could never be satisfied. They said his form was grotesque, a bloated belly that symbolized his greed, paired with a tiny mouth and throat so narrow that no amount of food or drink could ever fill him. Years passed, and the story of the hungry ghost faded into folklore. But one day, a young woman named Iemi came to the temple, her face pale and her eyes filled with worry. She knelt before Master Tetsuo, the temple's head monk, and bowed deeply. "Master," she said, her voice trembling, "I fear I am becoming like the hungry ghost." Master Tetsuo studied her carefully. "Why do you say this, child?" Ime hesitated, then spoke. No matter what I achieve, it is never enough. I work harder and harder, but the satisfaction never comes. I buy things I don't need, hoping they will make me happy, but they only leave me feeling emptier. My heart feels like a bottomless pit, and I don't know how to fill it. The monk nodded slowly, as if he had heard this story many times before. Come with me, he said, rising to his feet. He led EMI to the temple garden, where a small pond reflected the sky above. The water was still, undisturbed by even the slightest breeze. Look into the pond, Master Tetsuo instructed. What do you see? EMI leaned over the edge and gazed into the water. I see my reflection, she said. And what happens? If you try to grab it, the monk asked. Confused, EMI reached out toward her reflection. Her hand broke the surface of the water, sending ripples across the pond. The image of her face shattered into fragments, disappearing entirely. It vanishes, she said softly. Master Tetsuo nodded. This is the nature of desire, he explained. We reach for things outside ourselves, believing they will complete us. But the more we grasp, the further away fulfillment becomes. Like the hungry ghost, we are left chasing illusions, unable to see that what we seek cannot be found in the external world. Ime frowned, her brow furrowed in thought. But if happiness cannot be found outside, where should I look? The monk gestured toward the pond again. Wait, he said. Be still. EMI withdrew her hand and sat quietly beside the water. Gradually, the ripples subsided, and the surface of the pond became smooth once more. Her reflection reappeared, clear and whole. Do you see now? Master Tetsuo asked. When the mind is restless, it distorts our vision, making us believe we are incomplete. But when we are still, we can see ourselves as we truly are whole, just as we are. Tears welled up in Emmy's eyes. But how do I stop the restlessness? She asked. How do I let go of this endless craving? Master Tetsuo smiled gently. Begin by practicing gratitude, he said. Instead of focusing on what you lack, turn your attention to what you already have. Each day, take a moment to reflect on the blessings in your life, the food you eat, the roof over your head, the people who care for you. Gratitude is the antidote to greed, for it reminds us that we are already enough. The philosophy behind the story, the tale of the hungry ghost, is rooted in Buddhist cosmology, where such beings symbolize the suffering caused by insatiable desire. In this context, the hungry ghost is not just a mythical creature, it is a metaphor for the human condition. When we cling to the belief that happiness lies in external possessions, achievements, or validation, we become trapped in a cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. Buddhism teaches that true contentment comes not from acquiring more, but from letting go. By recognizing the impermanence of all things and cultivating gratitude for the present moment, we can break free from the illusion of lack and rediscover the wholeness within ourselves. A modern reflection in today's consumer-driven society. The story of the hungry ghost feels more relevant than ever. Advertisements constantly tell us that we need more money, more success, more beauty, more things to be happy. Social media amplifies this message, showing us curated images of other people's seemingly perfect lives and fueling feelings of inadequacy. But as the story reminds us, chasing external validation is like trying to grab a reflection in the water. The more we grasp, the more elusive happiness becomes. True fulfillment begins not with acquiring, but with appreciating. Consider this. What are you currently chasing, believing it will make you happy? A promotion, a new car, more followers online. What might happen if, instead of reaching outward, you turned inward and practiced gratitude for what you already have? Guided reflection, breaking free from craving. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself standing before a mirror. See your reflection clearly, without judgment. Now, picture yourself holding a small bowl. Into this bowl, place the things you are grateful for: your health, your loved ones, your experiences, even the simple joys of daily life. With each addition, feel the weight of the bowl grow heavier, grounding you in the present moment. Repeat silently to yourself, I am enough, I have enough. I let go of craving and embrace gratitude. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of contentment with you into your day. Closing thoughts: the story of the hungry ghost reminds us that the key to happiness is not more, but less grasping, less comparing, less yearning for what we do not have. By turning our attention inward and cultivating gratitude, we can free ourselves from the cycle of craving and rediscover the abundance that already exists within us. As the Buddha once said, contentment is the greatest wealth. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 10. The hungry ghost. The village sat at the edge of a dense forest, where the shadows of ancient trees stretched long across the fields as the sun began to set. It was a quiet place, its people simple and hard-working, their lives shaped by the cycles of planting and harvest. Yet despite the village's peaceful appearance, there was one story that haunted its residents: a tale of the hungry ghost. It was said that long ago, a man named Kenji had lived in the village. He was known for his insatiable greed, always wanting more than he needed. No matter how much wealth he accumulated, it was never enough. His house grew larger, his storerooms fuller, but so did his hunger for more. He envied his neighbors' possessions, hoarded food even when others went hungry, and refused to share what he had, fearing it would leave him with less. When Kenji died, the villagers whispered that his spirit could not find peace. According to legend, he became a hungry ghoster, being cursed to wander the earth, consumed by an endless craving that could never be satisfied. They said his form was grotesque, a bloated belly that symbolized his greed, paired with a tiny mouth and throat so narrow that no amount of food or drink could ever fill him. Years passed, and the story of the hungry ghost faded into folklore. But one day, a young woman named Iemi came to the temple, her face pale and her eyes filled with worry. She knelt before Master Tetsuo, the temple's head monk, and bowed deeply. "Master," she said, her voice trembling, "I fear I am becoming like the hungry ghost." Master Tetsuo studied her carefully. "Why do you say this, child?" Ime hesitated, then spoke. "No matter what I achieve, it is never enough. I work harder and harder, but the satisfaction never comes. I buy things I don't need, hoping they will make me happy, but they only leave me feeling emptier. My heart feels like a bottomless pit, and I don't know how to fill it." The monk nodded slowly, as if he had heard this story many times before. "Come with me," he said, rising to his feet. He led Iemai to the temple garden, where a small pond reflected the sky above. The water was still, undisturbed by even the slightest breeze. "Look into the pond," Master Tetsuo instructed. "What do you see?" Iemai leaned over the edge and gazed into the water. "I see my reflection," she said. "And what happens?" "If you try to grab it?" the monk asked. Confused, Iemai reached out toward her reflection. Her hand broke the surface of the water, sending ripples across the pond. The image of her face shattered into fragments, disappearing entirely. "It vanishes," she said softly. Master Tetsuo nodded. "This is the nature of desire," he explained. "We reach for things outside ourselves, believing they will complete us. But the more we grasp, the further away fulfillment becomes. Like the hungry ghost, we are left chasing illusions, unable to see that what we seek cannot be found in the external world." Ime frowned, her brow furrowed in thought. "But if happiness cannot be found outside, where should I look?" The monk gestured toward the pond again. "Wait," he said. "Be still." Ime withdrew her hand and sat quietly beside the water. Gradually, the ripples subsided, and the surface of the pond became smooth once more. Her reflection reappeared, clear and whole. "Do you see now?" Master Tetsuo asked. "When the mind is restless, it distorts our vision, making us believe we are incomplete. But when we are still, we can see ourselves as we truly are whole, just as we are." Tears welled up in Emmy's eyes. "But how do I stop the restlessness?" she asked. "How do I let go of this endless craving?" Master Tetsuo smiled gently. "Begin by practicing gratitude," he said. "Instead of focusing on what you lack, turn your attention to what you already have. Each day, take a moment to reflect on the blessings in your life, the food you eat, the roof over your head, the people who care for you. Gratitude is the antidote to greed, for it reminds us that we are already enough." The philosophy behind the story, The Tale of the Hungry Ghost, is rooted in Buddhist cosmology, where such beings symbolize the suffering caused by insatiable desire. In this context, the hungry ghost is not just a mythical creature, it is a metaphor for the human condition. When we cling to the belief that happiness lies in external possessions, achievements, or validation, we become trapped in a cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. Buddhism teaches that true contentment comes not from acquiring more, but from letting go. By recognizing the impermanence of all things and cultivating gratitude for the present moment, we can break free from the illusion of lack and rediscover the wholeness within ourselves. A modern reflection in today's consumer-driven society, the story of the hungry ghost feels more relevant than ever. Advertisements constantly tell us that we need more money, more success, more beauty, more things to be happy. Social media amplifies this message, showing us curated images of other people's seemingly perfect lives and fueling feelings of inadequacy. But as the story reminds us, chasing external validation is like trying to grab a reflection in the water. The more we grasp, the more elusive happiness becomes. True fulfillment begins not with acquiring, but with appreciating. Consider this. What are you currently chasing, believing it will make you happy? A promotion, a new car, more followers online. What might happen if, instead of reaching outward, you turned inward and practiced gratitude for what you already have? Guided reflection, breaking free from craving. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in. Then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself standing before a mirror. See your reflection clearly, without judgment. Now, picture yourself holding a small bowl. Into this bowl, place the things you are grateful for: your health, your loved ones, your experiences, even the simple joys of daily life. With each addition, feel the weight of the bowl grow heavier, grounding you in the present moment. Repeat silently to yourself, "I am enough, I have enough, I let go of craving and embrace gratitude." When you're ready, Open your eyes and carry this sense of contentment with you into your day. Closing thoughts. The story of the hungry ghost reminds us that the key to happiness is not more, but less grasping, less comparing, less yearning for what we do not have. By turning our attention inward and cultivating gratitude, we can free ourselves from the cycle of craving and rediscover the abundance that already exists within us. As the Buddha once said, contentment is the greatest wealth. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 12. The silent answer. The monastery sat on a high cliff overlooking the sea, where waves crashed against the rocks below in an endless rhythm. It was a place of profound stillness, broken only by the sound of the wind and the distant cries of seabirds. Here, monks devoted their lives to meditation and the search for enlightenment, guided by the teachings of their master Zenji. One day, a young monk named Haru approached Master Zenji with a question that had been troubling him for weeks. Haru was earnest and diligent in his practice, but he often found himself consumed by doubt. He longed for clarity, for a sense of certainty about the path he was walking. Master, Haru said, bowing deeply, I have studied the sutras, practiced meditation, and followed your teachings as best I can. But I still do not understand what is enlightenment. How can I attain it? Master Zenji looked at the young monk with a calm expression, his eyes as steady as the horizon. Instead of answering, he gestured for Haru to follow him. Together, they walked out of the monastery and down a narrow path that led to the edge of the cliff. The view was breathtaking. The vast expanse of the ocean stretched out before them, its surface shimmering under the midday sun. For a moment, Haru forgot his question, captivated by the beauty of the scene. Sit, Master Zenji said, lowering himself onto a flat rock near the edge. Haru obeyed, folding his legs beneath him and sitting beside his teacher. The two of them sat in silence, listening to the sound of the waves crashing below. Minutes passed, then an hour. Haru's initial awe began to fade, replaced by impatience. He glanced at Master Zenji, who sat motionless, his gaze fixed on the horizon. Finally, unable to contain himself any longer, Haru spoke. Master, he said, I came to you with a question. Why will you not answer me? Master Zenji turned to the young monk, his face serene. Haru, he said, do you hear the sound of the waves? Yes, Haru replied, puzzled. And do you see the ocean stretching endlessly before you? I do. Then tell me, the master said, what does the ocean say? Haru frowned, unsure how to respond. It says nothing, master. It is silent. Master Zenji nodded. Exactly, and yet, does its silence not speak volumes? Does it not fill you with a sense of wonder, of something greater than words can express? Haru hesitated, then nodded. Slowly, there was something about the ocean, its vastness, its power, its unchanging rhythm that seemed to touch a part of him beyond thought or language. Enlightenment, Master Zenji continued, is like the ocean. It cannot be captured in words or concepts. It is not something you can grasp or attain, because it is already here, within you. To seek it is like a wave searching for water. It is unnecessary, for the wave is already part of the ocean. The young monk stared out at the sea, his mind racing. But if enlightenment is already within me, he asked, why do I not feel it? Why do I struggle so much? Master Zenji smiled faintly. Because you are looking for it outside yourself, he said. You are searching for answers in books, in teachings, in the approval of others. But true understanding comes not from seeking, but from being, from quieting the mind and allowing yourself to experience the present moment fully. Only then can you hear the silent answer. The philosophy behind the story of the silent answer reflects a central teaching of Zen, the idea that enlightenment is not something to be attained, but something to be realized. In our quest for understanding, we often look outward, seeking answers in words, doctrines, or external validation. But as the story illustrates, true wisdom lies beyond language and concepts. It is found in direct experience, in the stillness of the present moment. This teaching aligns with the Zen concept of satori, or sudden awakening. Satori is not a state that can be achieved through effort or intellectual reasoning. It arises spontaneously when the mind becomes quiet and open. Like the ocean in the story, it speaks in silence, revealing truths that cannot be put into words. The story also highlights the importance of letting go of attachment to questions and answers. By clinging to the idea of enlightenment as a goal to be reached, we create a barrier between ourselves and the very understanding we seek. When we release this attachment and simply be, we discover that what we were searching for was always within us. A modern reflection in today's world. Many of us are like Haru, constantly searching for answers, whether in self-help books, online courses, or the opinions of others. We believe that if we just learn enough, achieve enough, or find the right formula, we will finally feel complete. But this relentless pursuit often leaves us feeling more lost and disconnected than ever. The lesson of the silent answer invites us to pause and consider. What if the answers we seek cannot be found in words or external sources? What if they are already within us, waiting to be discovered in moments of stillness and presence? Consider this. Have you ever experienced a moment of clarity or peace that arose not from thinking, but from simply being, watching a sunset, listening to music, or sitting quietly in nature? These moments remind us that understanding does not always come from analysis. Sometimes it comes from silence. Guided reflection. Listening to the silence, find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself sitting on a cliff, overlooking the vast ocean. Hear the sound of the waves, feel the breeze on your skin, and sense the immensity of the sea before you. Now, let your thoughts settle, like ripples fading on the surface of the water. Do not try to analyze or interpret, simply listen. Allow yourself to be present with the silence, trusting that it holds the answers you seek. Repeat silently to yourself, I let go of seeking. I embrace the silence within me. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of stillness with you into your day. Closing thoughts, the silent answer reminds us that some truths cannot be spoken, they must be felt, experienced, and lived. By quieting our minds and embracing the present moment, we open ourselves to the wisdom that lies beyond words. As the Zen master D.T. Suzuki once said, Zen in its essence is the art of seeing into the nature of one's own being, and it points the way from bondage to freedom. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 13. The two monks and the woman. The sun was rising over the hills, painting the sky in hues of gold and pink as two monks made their way down a winding path. Their robes swayed gently with each step, and the sound of their sandals brushing against the dirt blended with the distant chirping of birds. They were traveling to a nearby village where they would spend the day teaching and meditating before returning to their monastery. As they rounded a bend in the path, they came upon a river. The water was swift and deep, swollen from recent rains, and the bridge that normally spanned it had been washed away. Standing at the edge of the river was a woman dressed in fine clothes, her face etched with worry. She looked up as the monks approached and bowed respectfully. "Please," she said, her voice trembling, "I need to cross this river, but I cannot do so alone. The current is too strong, and I fear I will be swept away." The older monk, named Toshiro, stepped forward without hesitation. "Of course," he said, bowing slightly. "Climb onto my back, and I will carry you across." The younger monk, Oki, watched in surprise as his companion lifted the woman onto his back and began wading into the river. The water surged around them, cold and relentless, but Toshiro moved steadily, his steps sure and deliberate. When they reached the other side, he set the woman down gently, bowed again, and continued on his way without another word. Aki followed, his mind racing. As they walked, he couldn't help but replay the scene in his head, the way Toshiro had touched the woman, the way her arms had wrapped around his shoulders. It was against their vows to have physical contact with women, and yet Toshiro had done so without hesitation. Aki's chest tightened with indignation. For hours, the two monks walked in silence. The older one calm and serene, the younger one restless and agitated. Finally, unable to contain himself any longer, Oki spoke. "Master," he said, his voice sharp, "how could you do such a thing? You know our vows forbid us from touching women, and yet you carried her across the river as if it were nothing. Have you forgotten your teachings?" Toshiro stopped and turned to face Aki, his expression gentle but firm. "Ah, Aki," he said, "I set the woman down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" The philosophy behind the story of the two monks and the woman is a classic Zen parable that illustrates the importance of letting go of judgments, attachments, and the burdens we create in our own minds. While Toshiro acted compassionately and moved on, Aki clung to the event, allowing it to consume his thoughts and emotions long after it had passed. In Buddhist philosophy, this tendency to hold on to things, whether they are memories, grievances, or desires, is a source of suffering. Known as upadana or attachment, it keeps us trapped in cycles of frustration and discontent. By learning to release what no longer serves us, we free ourselves to live more fully in the present moment. The story also highlights the difference between action and reaction. Toshiro's decision to help the woman was rooted in mindfulness and compassion. He acted without hesitation, then let the moment pass. Oki, on the other hand, reacted with judgment and resistance, creating unnecessary turmoil for himself. A modern reflection in today's world, many of us can relate to Oki's struggle. How often do we find ourselves replaying events in our minds, an argument with a loved one, a mistake at work, or a perceived slight from a stranger? We hold onto these moments, analyzing them, judging them, and allowing them to weigh us down long after they are over. The lesson of the two monks invites us to ask, what am I still carrying? Is there a grievance, regret, or fear that I am holding onto unnecessarily? What might happen if I chose to set it down? Consider this. Imagine you're carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. Each rock represents something you're holding onto, past mistake, a resentment, a worry about the future. Now imagine setting the backpack down. Feel the relief, the lightness, the freedom. This is the power of letting go. Guided reflection. Setting down your burdens, find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Picture yourself standing beside a river, holding a heavy backpack. Inside the backpack are all the things you've been carrying: grudges, regrets, fears, and judgments. Now, imagine taking out each item one by one. As you remove each burden, place it gently on the ground beside the river. Watch as the current carries it away, dissolving it into the flow of life. Repeat silently to yourself, I release what no longer serves me. I choose peace over attachment. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of lightness with you into your day. Closing thoughts. The story of the two monks reminds us that the weight we carry is often self-imposed. By learning to let go of judgments and attachments, we can free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and move through life with greater ease and clarity. As the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If, in our heart, we still cling to anything: anger, anxiety, or possessions, we cannot be free. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 14. The feather in the wind. The village lay nestled in a quiet valley, surrounded by rolling hills and open skies. It was a place where life moved at a gentle pace, where the days were marked by the rising and setting of the sun, and the seasons brought their own rhythm to the lives of its people. At the edge of the village stood a small temple, its wooden beams weathered by time but still strong, like the wisdom it housed. One morning, a young woman named Iko arrived at the temple. She had walked for hours from her home in a neighboring village, her heart heavy with frustration. Iko was known for her ambition and determination, qualities that had earned her success in her work, but had also left her feeling perpetually restless. No matter how much she achieved, she always felt as though something was missing. When she reached the temple, she found Master Hero tending to the garden. The old monk greeted her with a warm smile, his hands dirtied from planting seeds. Master, Iko said, bowing deeply, I have come seeking your guidance. My life feels like a constant struggle. I set goals for myself, work tirelessly to achieve them, and yet I am never satisfied. It feels as though I am chasing something I can never catch. Master Hero nodded thoughtfully, brushing the soil from his hands. Come with me, he said, leading her to a clearing behind the temple. The space was open and quiet, with tall grass swaying gently in the breeze. In the center of the clearing lay a single white feather, light as air and barely touching the ground. Do you see this feather? The master asked. Yes, Iko replied, puzzled. Pick it up, he instructed. Iko bent down and reached for the feather, but just as her fingers brushed against it, a soft gust of wind lifted it into the air. The feather floated a few feet away before settling back onto the grass. Determined, Iko followed it and tried again, but each time she reached for it, the wind carried it further out of her grasp. After several attempts, she straightened up, her face flushed with frustration. It's impossible, she exclaimed. Every time I get close, it slips away. Master Hero chuckled softly. Now, watch, he said. He stepped forward and sat down cross-legged on the grass, his movements slow and deliberate. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, letting the wind move around him. The feather drifted lazily in the air, carried by the breeze, until it finally settled in his lap. Eiko stared in disbelief. "How did you do that?" she asked. "I did nothing," the master replied. "The feather came to me when I stopped chasing it." The philosophy behind the story of the feather and the wind, is a metaphor for the way we often approach life. Like Eiko, many of us spend our days chasing after goals, achievements, or desires, believing that once we attain them, we will find happiness or fulfillment. But as the story illustrates, the harder we chase, the more elusive these things become. In Zen philosophy, this concept is closely tied to the idea of Wu Wei, or effortless action. Wu Wei does not mean passivity or inaction. Rather, it is about aligning oneself with the natural flow of life instead of struggling against it. By letting go of attachment and trusting in the process, we create space for what we seek to come to us naturally. The feather also symbolizes the fleeting nature of happiness and desire. Just as the wind carries the feather, life is constantly in motion, and no achievement or possession can bring lasting satisfaction. True peace comes not from grasping, but from learning to be present and accepting what is. A modern reflection in today's fast-paced world, the lesson of the feather feels especially relevant. We are conditioned to believe that success and happiness lie just beyond our reach, that if we work harder, earn more, or achieve more, we will finally feel complete. But this constant striving often leaves us feeling exhausted and unfulfilled. Like Eiko chasing the feather. Consider this. Is there something in your life that you've been chasing? A promotion, a relationship, a sense of purpose? What might happen if you stopped running toward it and instead allowed yourself to simply be? Could it be that what you seek is already within your reach, waiting for you to notice? The story invites us to shift our perspective, to let go of the need to control every outcome and trust in the natural flow of life. When we stop chasing, we may find that what we truly need has been with us all along. Guided reflection. Letting go of the chase, find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself standing in an open field, a feather floating gently in the air before you. Notice its movement, how it drifts with the wind, free and unburdened. Now, picture yourself reaching for the feather. See how it moves further away with each attempt, always just out of reach. Feel the tension in your body as you chase it. Next, imagine yourself sitting down in the field, letting go of the need to catch the feather. Take another deep breath and allow yourself to simply be. Watch as the feather drifts closer, carried by the wind, until it settles gently beside you. Repeat silently to yourself, I release the need to chase. I trust in the flow of life. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of ease and trust with you into your day. Closing thoughts. The feather in the wind reminds us that life is not a race to be won or a puzzle to be solved. By letting go of the need to control and embracing the present moment, we open ourselves to the beauty and abundance that already surrounds us. As the Taoist philosopher Lao Tzu once said, by letting go, it all gets done. The world is won by those who let it go. But when you try and try, the world is beyond winning. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 15. The old tree's wisdom, the heart of a dense forest. Where sunlight filtered through a canopy of ancient leaves, there stood an old tree. Its trunk was wide and gnarled, its bark weathered by countless seasons of wind, rain, and sun. The tree had stood in that spot for centuries, its roots reaching deep into the earth, anchoring it firmly against the forces of nature. Not far from the tree, nestled in a clearing, was a small monastery. The monks who lived there often came to sit beneath the tree's sprawling branches, finding solace in its shade and inspiration in its quiet strength. Among them was a young monk named Kenta, who was known for his fiery temper and impatience. One day, after a particularly frustrating morning of meditation, Kenta stormed out of the monastery and into the forest. His mind was a whirlwind of anger and self-doubt. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't seem to quiet his thoughts or find the peace that his fellow monks seemed to embody so effortlessly as he wandered aimlessly. Kenta found himself standing before the old tree. Its presence was imposing yet calming, as if it held secrets that only time could reveal. Without thinking, Kenta sat down at its base, leaning his back against the sturdy trunk. He closed his eyes and let out a long sigh. "Why is it so difficult?" he muttered aloud. "Why can't I be like this tree, strong, steady, unshaken by the storms of life?" To his surprise, a voice seemed to answer him, not a voice spoken aloud, but one that resonated within his mind, soft and ancient. "You see my strength," the tree said, "but do you understand where it comes from?" Kenta opened his eyes, startled. He looked around, but there was no one else in sight. Yet the voice continued, calm and patient. "My strength does not come from resisting the wind or defying the storms," the tree explained. "It comes from my roots, which reach deep into the earth. They anchor me, nourish me, and allow me to stand tall, no matter what happens above." The young monk frowned, unsure what the tree meant. "But I have no roots," he said. "I am just a man trying to find my way." The tree's leaves rustled gently in the breeze, as if laughing. Softly, "Your roots are not in the earth," it said. "They are in your breath, your practice, your connection to the present moment. When you feel unsteady, it is because you have forgotten to ground yourself. You are like a sapling swaying in the wind, unaware of the strength that lies beneath." Kent fell silent, his mind turning over the tree's words. He realized that he had been approaching his practice with the wrong mindset, trying to force stillness rather than allowing it to grow naturally from within. He had been so focused on the storms of his thoughts that he had forgotten to nurture his roots. "How do I strengthen my roots?" he asked quietly. "Begin with patience," the tree replied. "Growth takes time. Each breath you take, each moment of mindfulness, is like water and sunlight for your soul. Do not rush the process. Trust that, with care and consistency, your roots will grow deeper, and you will find the steadiness you seek." The philosophy behind the story of the old tree, offers a profound lesson about resilience and inner strength. In life, we often focus on external challenges, the storms that test us, and wonder why we feel unsteady or overwhelmed. But as the tree reminds us, true strength comes not from resisting these challenges, but from grounding ourselves in something deeper. In Buddhist philosophy, this idea aligns with the practice of mindfulness and the cultivation of inner stability. Just as a tree's roots anchor it against the wind, our mindfulness practice anchors us in the present moment, providing a foundation of calm and clarity even in the face of adversity. The story also emphasizes the importance of patience and trust in the process of growth. Like the tree, we cannot force our roots to grow overnight. Instead, we must nurture them consistently, trusting that each small act of mindfulness contributes to our overall resilience. A modern reflection in today's fast-paced world. Many of us feel like Kenton steady, overwhelmed, and disconnected from our inner strength. We may try to push through challenges with sheer willpower, only to find ourselves exhausted and frustrated. The lesson of the old tree invites us to take a different approach, to pause, breathe, and reconnect with our roots. Consider this. What are your roots? What practices or habits help you feel grounded and centered? Perhaps it's meditation, journaling, spending time in nature, or simply taking a few deep breaths during a stressful moment. Whatever it may be, the key is to cultivate these practices consistently, allowing them to anchor you in the present moment. The next time you feel unsteady, remember the tree. Instead of focusing on the storm above, turn your attention inward and ask yourself, how can I strengthen my roots? Guided reflection, grounding yourself like the tree. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself as a tree, standing tall and strong in the middle of a forest. Feel your feet rooted firmly in the earth, drawing nourishment and stability from the ground below. With each inhale, imagine your roots growing deeper, spreading wide and anchoring you securely. With each exhale, release any tension or worry, letting it flow out of you like leaves carried away by the wind. Repeat silently to yourself, I am grounded, I am steady, my strength comes from within. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of stability with you into your day. Closing thoughts. The old tree's wisdom reminds us that resilience is not about avoiding life's challenges, but about cultivating the inner strength to face them with grace. By grounding ourselves in mindfulness and nurturing our roots, we can stand tall and steady, no matter what storms may come. As the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 16. The sound of one hand clapping. The temple was perched on a mountainside, where the clouds often drifted so low that they seemed to embrace the rooftops. It was a place of quiet contemplation, where monks spent their days meditating, tending to the gardens, and studying the teachings of Zen. Among them was a young monk named Sora, who was known for his sharp mind but also for his relentless pursuit of answers. One day, Master Ryokon called Sora to his chambers. The old master had been observing the young monk for some time and decided it was time to challenge him with a kona, paradoxical question used in Zen practice to transcend logical thinking and provoke insight. Sora, Master Ryokon, said, I have a question for you. Yes, master. Sora replied, bowing deeply. What is the sound of one hand clapping? The master asked, his voice calm yet firm. Sora blinked, confused. The sound of one hand clapping. He repeated, as if saying the words aloud would make their meaning clearer. Master Ryokon nodded. Yes, bring me the answer when you are ready. With that, the master dismissed him, leaving Sora to ponder the question. At first, the young monk felt confident. He believed that, with enough thought and effort, he could solve any problem. But as the hours turned into days, his confidence began to waver. No matter how hard he tried, he could not find an answer that satisfied him. He sat in the meditation hall, staring at his hands. He clapped them together, listening to the sound they made. Then he held up one hand and waved it through the air, hoping to hear anything that might resemble a clap. But the silence mocked him. Frustrated, Sora approached another monk for advice. "What does Master Ryukon mean by the sound of one hand clapping?" he asked. The older monk smiled knowingly. "That is for you to discover," he said. "But remember, the answer is not found in words or logic. It must come from within." Sora returned to his meditation, determined to uncover the truth. He tried to think his way through the problem, analyzing it from every angle, but the more he thought, the further away the answer seemed. His mind became a tangled web of questions, each one leading to another dead end. Finally, exhausted and defeated, Sora went to Master Ryukon. He bowed deeply, his head nearly touching the floor. "Master," he said, "I cannot find the answer. I have tried everything, but it eludes me. Please, tell me what it means." The old master looked at him with kind eyes. "Sora," he said, "you are like a man trying to catch the wind with a net. The harder you try, the more it slips through your grasp. But how can I find the answer if I do not try?" Sora asked, his voice tinged with desperation. Master Ryukon gestured for the young monk to sit beside him. "Close your eyes," he said. "Breathe deeply and let go of your need to find an answer. Do not think about the question, simply be present with it." Reluctantly, Sora obeyed. He closed his eyes and focused on his breath, allowing his thoughts to settle like leaves drifting to the ground. For the first time since he had been given the cone, he stopped trying to solve it. Instead, he simply sat with it, letting it exist, without judgment or expectation. In the stillness, something shifted. Sora felt a sense of clarity, not in the form of an answer, but in the realization that the question itself was the point. The sound of one hand clapping was not meant to be understood with the mind. It was meant to open the heart, to break free from the limitations of logic and experience the world directly. When he opened his eyes, Master Ryukon was smiling. "Do you see now?" the master asked as Sora nodded slowly. "It is not about finding an answer," he said. "It is about letting go of the need for one." The philosophy behind the story of the sound of one hand clapping, is rooted in the Zen tradition of using cones to transcend rational thought. A cone is not a riddle to be solved or a puzzle to be completed. It is a tool for breaking through the confines of ordinary thinking and experiencing reality in a new way. In this story, Sora's struggle reflects the human tendency to seek answers through effort and analysis. We are conditioned to believe that every question has a solution, and that with enough determination, we can figure out anything. But as the story illustrates, some truths cannot be grasped by the intellect alone. They must be felt, experienced, and lived. The sound of one hand clapping represents the paradoxical nature of existence. The idea that some things can only be understood by letting go of the need to understand. In doing so, we open ourselves to a deeper, more intuitive way of knowing. A modern reflection in today's world. Many of us approach life like Sora, constantly seeking answers and solutions. We analyze, plan, and strategize, believing that if we just work hard enough, we can control our circumstances and achieve clarity. But this relentless pursuit often leaves us feeling frustrated and disconnected, as though we are chasing something that always remains just out of reach. The lesson of the cone invites us to take a different approach. Instead of striving for answers, we can learn to sit with our questions, allowing them to unfold naturally. By letting go of the need for certainty, we create space for insight and understanding to arise on their own. Consider this: Is there a question or problem in your life that you've been struggling to solve? What might happen if you stopped trying to force an answer and instead allowed yourself to simply be present with it? Guided reflection. Sitting with the question, find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Bring to mind a question or challenge that has been occupying your thoughts. Instead of trying to solve it, simply hold it gently in your awareness, like a feather resting in your hand. As you breathe, repeat silently to yourself, I release the need for an answer. I trust in the unfolding of the moment. Allow yourself to sit with the question, noticing any feelings or sensations that arise. Do not judge or analyze them, simply observe. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of openness with you into your day. Closing thoughts. The sound of one hand clapping reminds us that not all questions are meant to be answered, and not all problems are meant to be solved. By letting go of the need for certainty, we open ourselves to the mystery and beauty of life as it is. As the Zen master Shunryu Suzuki once said, in the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind there are few. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 17. The spider's web. The forest was alive with the sounds of nature, birds singing in the treetops, leaves rustling in the wind, and the faint hum of insects moving through the underbrush. Deep within this forest stood a small wooden hut, home to an old monk named Master Haku. Known for his wisdom and quiet demeanor, Master Haku spent his days meditating, tending to his garden, and observing the rhythms of the natural world. One morning, as the sun filtered through the trees, a young monk named Daiki arrived at the hut. He had traveled far to seek guidance from Master Haku, carrying with him a heart burdened by frustration and doubt. When he reached the clearing where the hut stood, he found the old monk sitting on the porch, gazing out at the forest. Master, Daiki said, bowing deeply, I have come seeking your wisdom. I feel trapped in my own life, as though no matter how hard I try, I cannot escape my struggles. Each time I think I've made progress, something pulls me back. How can I free myself? Master Haku regarded the young monk with kind eyes. Come, he said, rising to his feet. Let us walk. The two monks ventured into the forest, their footsteps soft against the moss-covered ground. After some time, they came upon a spider's web stretched between two branches. The web glistened in the sunlight, its delicate threads shimmering like strands of silver. Do you see this web? Master Haku asked. Yes, Master Daiki replied, though he wasn't sure what it had to do with his question. This web is the work of a single spider, the master continued. It is fragile, easily torn by the wind or the passing of an animal. And yet, each time it is broken, the spider rebuilds it patiently, persistently, without complaint. Daiki frowned, still unsure of the lesson. But master, he said, what does this have to do with my struggles? I am not a spider, and my problems are not so easily mended. Master Haku smiled faintly. Are they not? He asked. Tell me, Daiki, what is it that traps you? The young monk hesitated, then spoke. My fears, my doubts, my failures. They cling to me like a web, holding me back no matter how much I try to move forward. The old monk nodded. And who spins this web? Daiki fell silent, the weight of the question settling over him. He realized, with a sinking feeling, that the answer was himself. His fears, his doubts, his failures, they were not imposed upon him by the world, but created by his own mind, woven together like the threads of a spider's web. "But how do I break free?" he asked quietly. Master Haku gestured toward the web before them. "You do not need to destroy the web," he said. "You simply need to stop clinging to it." The spider does not lament when its web is torn. It begins again, knowing that the act of building is its nature. In the same way, you must learn to let go of what no longer serves you and trust in your ability to rebuild. The philosophy behind the story of the spider's web, is a metaphor for the ways in which we become entangled in our own thoughts, fears, and attachments. Like Daki, many of us feel trapped by the challenges and setbacks we face, believing that they define us or hold us back. But as the story illustrates, these webs are often of our own making, spun from the threads of our beliefs and perceptions. In Buddhist philosophy, this idea aligns with the concept of Maya, or illusion. Much of our suffering arises not from external circumstances, but from the stories we tell ourselves about those circumstances. By recognizing these illusions and letting go of our attachment to them, we can begin to see the world and ourselves with greater clarity. The spider's persistence also reflects the Buddhist teaching of virya, or diligent effort. Life will inevitably bring challenges, just as the wind will tear the spider's web. But by approaching these challenges with patience and resilience, we can continue to grow and move forward. A modern reflection in today's world, it's easy to feel like trapped by the demands of work, relationships, and personal expectations. We may find ourselves replaying past mistakes, worrying about the future, or clinging to ideas of how things should be. These mental webs can leave us feeling stuck, unable to move forward. The lesson of the spider invites us to take a step back and examine the stories we tell ourselves. Are we holding on to fears or doubts that no longer serve us? Are we clinging to perfectionism or control, spinning webs that keep us from experiencing the present moment? Consider this: what would happen if you let go of one thread from your web of fear, a regret, or a limiting belief? How might your perspective shift if you trusted in your ability to rebuild, just as the spider does? Guided reflection, releasing the web. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself standing before a spider's web, its threads delicate and intricate. See how the web shimmers in the light, yet notice how easily it sways in the breeze. Now, picture yourself gently touching one thread of the web, the thread that represents a fear, doubt, or attachment you've been holding on to. As you release it, watch as the web begins to unravel, its grip on you loosening. Repeat silently to yourself, "I release what holds me back. I trust in my ability to rebuild." When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of freedom and resilience with you into your day. Closing thoughts: the spider's web reminds us that while life's challenges may feel overwhelming, they are not insurmountable. By letting go of the illusions that trap us and embracing the process of rebuilding, we can move forward with grace and strength. As the Zen master Shunryu Suzuki once said, "Life is like stepping onto a boat which is about to sail out to sea and sink. But when you accept that, you can enjoy the journey." Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 18. The cup that overflows the temple courtyard was quiet in the early morning light, save for the soft rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of birds. A gentle breeze carried the scent of blooming jasmine, weaving through the stone pathways that led to the meditation hall. Inside, Master Riku sat cross-legged on a simple mat, his eyes closed in serene contemplation. A visitor arrived at the temple that day, a scholar named Hiroshi, renowned for his vast knowledge and eloquence. He had spent decades studying philosophy, theology, and science, accumulating a wealth of information that made him respected far and wide. Yet despite his accomplishments, Hiroshi felt a gnawing sense of dissatisfaction, as though something essential was missing from his life. Hoping to find answers, he sought out Master Riku, believing that the monk's wisdom might fill the void. He could not explain. When Hiroshi entered the meditation hall, he bowed respectfully before taking a seat across from the master. Master. Hiroshi began, "I have come to learn from you. I have studied many teachings, read countless books, and debated with the greatest minds of my time. Yet I still feel incomplete, as though there is something I do not yet understand. Please, share your wisdom with me." Master Riku opened his eyes slowly, his gaze calm and steady. Without saying a word, he reached for the teapot beside him and began pouring tea into a small porcelain cup. Hiroshi watched in silence, expecting the master to speak at any moment. But as the tea rose to the brim of the cup, Master Riku did not stop pouring. The liquid spilled over the edge, pooling onto the table and dripping onto the floor. Alarmed, Hiroshi leaned forward. "Master," he exclaimed, "the cup is full. It cannot hold any more." Master Riku set down the teapot and looked at Hiroshi with a faint smile. "Exactly," he said. "And like this cup, your mind is already full of ideas, opinions, and assumptions. How can I teach you anything if there is no room to receive it?" Hiroshi stared at the overflowing cup, the master's words sinking in. He realized that he had come to the temple not with an open mind, but with one already crowded by his own knowledge and preconceptions. In his quest to understand everything, he had forgotten how to listen, how to approach the world with humility and curiosity. "What must I do, Master?" Hiroshi asked quietly. "How can I empty my cup?" Master Riku gestured toward the teacup. "Begin by letting go," he said. "Release the need to know, to control, to be right. Approach each moment as if you were seeing it for the first time, without judgment or expectation. Only then will you create space for true understanding." The philosophy behind the story of the overflowing cup, is a timeless Zen parable that speaks to the importance of humility, openness, and the willingness to let go of preconceived notions. In our pursuit of knowledge and understanding, we often fill our minds with so much information that we leave no room for new insights to enter. Like Hiroshi, we may become so attached to what we think we know that we close ourselves off to deeper truths in Zen practice. This idea aligns with the concept of Shoshin, or beginner's mind. Shoshin encourages us to approach life with the openness and curiosity of a beginner, free from the biases and assumptions that cloud our perception. By emptying our metaphorical cup, we create space for growth, learning, and transformation. Story also highlights the value of letting go, not just of knowledge, but of ego, attachment, and the need for certainty. True wisdom arises not from accumulation, but from surrendering to the present moment and embracing the unknown. A modern reflection in today's world, where information is abundant and easily accessible, many of us can relate to Hiroshi's struggle. We consume books, articles, podcasts, and videos, believing that the more we know, the closer we will come to understanding ourselves and the world. But as the story reminds us, knowledge alone is not enough. Without humility and openness, even the most profound teachings can fall on deaf ears. Consider this. Is there an area of your life where your cup feels full? Perhaps it's a relationship where you've already decided who the other person is, or a challenge where you believe you already know the solution. What might happen if you approached these situations with a beginner's mind, setting aside your assumptions and allowing yourself to see them anew? The lesson of the overflowing cup invites us to pause, reflect, and make space for the unexpected. By letting go of what we think we know, we open ourselves to the possibility of deeper connection and insight. Guided reflection. Emptying your cup. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself holding a cup in your hands. See it filled to the brim with water, representing all the thoughts, beliefs, and expectations you carry. Now, picture yourself gently tipping the cup, allowing the water to pour out. As the cup empties, feel a sense of lightness and release. Repeat silently to yourself, I let go of what no longer serves me. I create space for new understanding. When the cup is empty, imagine holding it up to the sky, ready to receive whatever life has to offer. Trust that by creating space, you are inviting growth and clarity into your life. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of openness with you into your day. Closing thoughts. The cup that overflows reminds us that true learning begins with humility and the willingness to let go. By emptying our minds of preconceptions and approaching life with curiosity, we create space for the wisdom and beauty of the present moment to unfold. As the Zen master Shunryu Suzuki once said, in the beginner's mind there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind there are few. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 19. The shadow on the wall of the temple was quiet as dusk fell, the last rays of sunlight casting long shadows across its stone walls. Inside the meditation hall, candles flickered softly, their golden light illuminating the serene faces of the monks seated in silent contemplation. Among them was a young monk named Jiro, who sat with his eyes closed but his mind far from still. For weeks, Jiro had been plagued by fear and an unshakable sense of unease that crept into his thoughts during meditation and lingered long after. He could not explain it, nor could he escape it. Each time he tried to push the fear away, it seemed to grow stronger, like a shadow stretching in the fading light. One evening, unable to bear it any longer, Jiro approached Master Akihiko, the head monk. Bowing deeply, he spoke in a voice tinged with desperation. Master Jiro said, I am haunted by fear. It follows me everywhere, even here in the temple. I try to meditate, to find peace, but the fear will not leave me. What should I do? Master Akihiko regarded the young monk with calm, steady eyes. Come with me, he said, rising from his seat. He led Jiro to a small room at the back of the temple, where a single candle burned on a low table. The walls were bare, save for the faint shadows cast by the flickering flame. Sit, the master instructed, gesturing to a cushion on the floor. Jiro obeyed, though his heart was heavy with doubt. Master Akihiko picked up the candle and held it before him. Do you see the shadow on the wall? He asked. Yes, Master, Jiro replied. And what creates this shadow? The candle. Jiro said, confused by the simplicity of the question. The master nodded. Indeed, the shadow exists because of the light. Without the candle, there would be no shadow. Jiro frowned, unsure of the lesson. But what does this have to do with my fear? Master Akihiko set the candle down and looked at the young monk. Your fear is like the shadow, he said. It exists only because of the light of your awareness. The more you focus on it, the larger it appears. But if you turn your attention away, the shadow fades. Jiro stared at the shadow on the wall, watching as it shifted and danced with the movement of the flame. So I should ignore my fear? He asked hesitantly. No, the master said gently. To ignore the shadow is to deny its existence, and denial only gives it power. Instead, look closely at the shadow. See it for what it truly is, a reflection, not a reality. Your fear is not who you are. It is simply a passing thought, a fleeting sensation. When you stop fighting it, you will see that it has no substance. Young monk fell silent, his mind turning over the master's words. For so long, he had treated his fear as an enemy, something to be defeated or banished. But now he wondered, what if the fear was not a threat, but a teacher? Master Jiro said quietly, how can I learn to see my fear in this way? Master Akihiko smiled. Begin by sitting with it, he said. When fear arises, do not push it away or cling to it. Simply observe it, as you would observe the shadow on the wall. Ask yourself, what does this fear feel like? Where does it live in my body? And most importantly, what happens when I stop resisting it? The philosophy behind the story of the shadow on the wall, offers a profound lesson about the nature of fear and how we relate to it. In Buddhist philosophy, fear is often seen as a product of avidya, or ignorance, misunderstanding of the true nature of reality. Like the shadow in the story, fear is not inherently real. It is a projection of our minds, shaped by our thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions. This teaching aligns with the practice of mindfulness, which encourages us to observe our emotions without judgment or attachment. By bringing awareness to our fear, we can begin to see it for what it truly is, a temporary experience, rather than an unchangeable truth. In doing so, we free ourselves from its grip and create space for clarity and peace. The story also highlights the importance of acceptance. When we resist fear, we give it power, much like focusing on a shadow makes it seem larger. But when we accept fear as a natural part of the human experience, we disarm it, allowing it to pass through us without leaving a lasting mark. A modern reflection in today's world. Fear is a common companion. Whether it's fear of failure, rejection, uncertainty, or loss, many of us carry invisible burdens that shape our thoughts and actions. We may try to suppress these fears, distract ourselves from them, or fight against them, only to find that they grow stronger. The lesson of the shadow invites us to take a different approach. Instead of running from fear, we can turn toward it with curiosity and compassion. By observing our fear without judgment, we can begin to understand its origins and see it for what it truly is, a passing shadow, not a permanent reality. Consider this. Is there a fear in your life that feels overwhelming or unmanageable? What might happen if you stopped trying to push it away and instead allowed yourself to sit with it, to explore it with an open heart? Guided reflection. Sitting with fear. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Bring to mind a fear that has been troubling you. Instead of pushing it away, invite it to sit beside you as if it were a guest. As you breathe, observe the fear without judgment, Notice how it feels in your body, perhaps as tension in your chest, a knot in your stomach, or a tightness in your throat. Acknowledge its presence, but do not cling to it or try to change it. Repeat silently to yourself, I see you, fear. You are not my enemy. You are a shadow, and I let you pass. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of acceptance with you into your day. Closing thoughts. Shadow on the wall reminds us that fear is not something to be feared. It is something to be understood. By turning toward our fear with mindfulness and compassion, we can dissolve its power and reconnect with the light of our awareness. As the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, fearlessness is not only possible, it is the ultimate joy. When you touch non-fear, you are free. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 20. The gate that opens inward. The monastery sat at the edge of a vast meadow, where wildflowers bloomed in vibrant colors, and the distant mountains stood like silent guardians. It was a place of refuge for those seeking wisdom, a sanctuary where the noise of the world gave way to the quiet hum of nature. Among the monks who lived there was Master Kenzo, a teacher known for his ability to illuminate profound truths through simple metaphors. One day, a merchant named Takashi arrived at the monastery. He was a man of great ambition, accustomed to solving problems through sheer determination and effort. Yet despite his success, Takashi felt an emptiness he could not explain, as though he was standing before a locked gate that barred him from the peace he so desperately sought. When he entered the temple courtyard, he found Master Kenzo sitting beneath a cherry blossom tree, its petals drifting softly to the ground. Bowing deeply, Takashi spoke. Master, he said, I have traveled far to seek your guidance. I feel as though I am standing before a gate, but no matter how hard I push, it will not open. Please, tell me, how can I find the peace that lies beyond? Master Kenzo regarded the merchant with a calm smile. Come with me, he said, rising. To his feet, he led Takashi to a wooden gate at the edge of the monastery grounds. The gate was tall and sturdy, its surface weathered by time. Here is your gate, the master said. Show me how you try to open it. Takashi hesitated, unsure of what the master meant. But after a moment, he stepped forward and placed his hands on the gate. He pushed with all his strength, his muscles straining as he tried to force it open. The gate did not budge. It stuck, Takashi said, stepping back and wiping the sweat from his brow. Perhaps it is locked. Master. Kenzo shook his head. Try again, he said. Frustrated but determined, Takashi pushed harder this time, throwing his weight against the gate. Still, it would not move. Finally, he turned to the master, his face flushed with exertion. It's impossible, he exclaimed. No matter how hard I push, it won't open. Master Kenzo smiled faintly. Step aside, he said. He approached. The gate placed his hand gently on its surface and pulled. With a soft creak, the gate swung inward, revealing the path beyond. Takashi stared in disbelief. It opens inward, he asked. The master nodded. Yes, and so does the gate to peace. The philosophy behind the story of the gate that opens inward, is a powerful metaphor for the inner journey of self-discovery and transformation. Like Takashi, many of us approach life's challenges with the belief that we must push harder, achieve more, or control our circumstances to find happiness and fulfillment. We see peace as something external, a destination to be reached through effort and struggle. But as the story illustrates, true peace cannot be forced or attained through outward striving. It is not something we push toward. It is something we uncover within ourselves. The gate to peace opens inward, inviting us to turn our attention away from the external world and toward the stillness of our own hearts. This teaching aligns with the Buddhist concept of vipassana, or insight meditation, which encourages practitioners to look inward and observe their thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment. By cultivating self-awareness and letting go of attachment to external outcomes, we create the conditions for inner peace to arise naturally. A modern reflection in today's fast-paced, achievement-oriented society, the lesson of the inward opening gate feels especially relevant. Many of us are conditioned to believe that happiness lies in external accomplishments, promotion, a new relationship, a bigger house. We push ourselves relentlessly, thinking that if we just work hard enough, we will finally unlock the door to contentment. But this constant striving often leaves us feeling exhausted and unfulfilled, like Takashi pushing against a gate that will not budge. The story invites us to pause and consider, what if the peace we seek is already within us? What if, instead of pushing outward, we turned inward and allowed ourselves to simply be? Consider this. Is there a gate in your life that you've been trying to force open? What might happen if you stopped pushing and instead took a step back, allowing yourself to explore what lies within? Guided reflection. Turning inward, find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself standing before a tall wooden gate. Feel its surface beneath your hands, solid and unmoving. Now, picture yourself stepping back from the gate. Instead of pushing, place your hand gently on its surface and pull. Watch as the gate swings inward, revealing a path bathed in light. Step through the gate and into the space beyond, feeling a sense of openness and ease. Repeat silently to yourself, I turn inward to find peace. I let go of striving and embrace stillness. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of inner calm with you into your day. Closing thoughts. The gate that opens inward reminds us that the answers we seek are not found in the external world, but within ourselves. By letting go of the need to push and striving to control, we create space for peace and clarity to emerge naturally. As the Zen master, Dogen, once said, to study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be awakened by all things. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 21. The River and the Sky. The river wound its way through the valley, its waters clear and cool as they flowed over smooth stones and past groves of ancient trees. It was a source of life for the surrounding land, nourishing the plants and animals that depended on it. Yet despite its beauty and purpose, the river often felt restless, yearning for something beyond itself. One day, as the sun climbed high into the sky, the river gazed upward and saw the vast expanse of blue stretching endlessly above. The sky seemed so free, so infinite, unbound by the curves and bends that confined the river to its course. How I envy the sky, the river murmured. It has no limits, no banks to hold it in place. It can go anywhere, while I am trapped here, always flowing but never free. The wind, which had been listening quietly, rustled through the trees and whispered to the river, "Why do you envy?" The sky, "Because it is everything I am not," the river replied. I long to be as boundless and free as the sky, but I am only a river, confined to this narrow path. The wind chuckled softly. Perhaps you do not see yourself clearly, it said. Look closer, and you may find that you are more like the sky than you realize. The river fell silent, pondering the wind's words. As the day wore on, it began to notice things it had overlooked before. When the sun shone brightly, the river reflected the sky's endless blue. When clouds gathered, their shapes appeared on the surface of the water, shifting and changing with the breeze. And when night fell, the stars danced upon the river, their light shimmering like jewels scattered across the dark. I see the sky within me, the river said at last. But how can this be? I am still just a river. The wind returned, carrying the scent of wildflowers and rain. You are the river, yes, it said, but you are also the sky. You reflect its beauty, its vastness, its ever-changing nature. The boundaries you feel are not real, they exist only in your mind. If you let go of them, you will see that you are already free. The river listened, its waters flowing more gently now, as if calmed by the wind's wisdom. For the first time, it stopped yearning to be something else and simply allowed itself to be. In doing so, it discovered a freedom it had never known, a freedom that came not from changing its nature, but from embracing it fully. The philosophy behind the story of the river and the sky, is a metaphor for the human experience of longing and self-discovery. Like the river, many of us look outward, comparing ourselves to others or wishing we could be something we are not. We see our limitations as barriers to happiness, believing that freedom lies somewhere beyond our current circumstances. In Buddhist philosophy, this tendency is rooted in dukkha, or dissatisfaction, which arises from attachment and aversion. We cling to ideas of who we think we should be, while rejecting aspects of ourselves that we perceive as flawed or incomplete. But as the story illustrates, true freedom comes not from becoming something else, but from recognizing and embracing the wholeness that already exists within us. The river's realization that it reflects the skylines with the Zen teaching of interconnectedness. Just as the river and the sky are not separate, neither are we separate from the world around us. By letting go of the illusion of boundaries, we can see ourselves as part of something greater, finding peace in the unity of all things. A modern reflection in today's world, it's easy to feel like the river, restless, confined, and yearning for something more. Social media, advertising, and societal expectations often amplify these feelings, showing us idealized images of success, beauty, and happiness that seem just out of reach. We may find ourselves thinking, if only I would richer, more confident, then I would be free. The lesson of the river invites us to shift our perspective. Instead of focusing on what we lack or wish to change, we can turn inward and explore the ways in which we are already whole. By recognizing the beauty and potential within ourselves, we can let go of the need to compare or strive. Finding freedom in self-acceptance. Consider this. Is there an area of your life where you feel limited or inadequate? What might happen if you looked at it through a different lens, seeing not the boundaries, but the possibilities? Guided reflection. Seeing the sky within. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself as a river, flowing gently through a valley. Feel the coolness of the water, the strength of the current, and the way you move effortlessly around obstacles. Now, picture the sky above you, vast, open, and ever-changing. See how its reflection appears on your surface. blending with your waters until the boundary between river and sky disappears. Repeat silently to yourself, I am both the river and the sky. I am whole, just as I am. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of unity and self-acceptance with you into your day. Closing thoughts, the river and the sky remind us that the freedom we seek is not found in becoming something else, but in recognizing the fullness of who we already are. By letting go of comparisons and embracing our true nature, we can discover a sense of peace and connection that transcends boundaries. As the Zen master Dogen once said, to study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be awakened by the 10,000 things. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 22. The lantern in the fog. The monastery was perched on a hilltop, surrounded by dense forests that stretched as far as the eye could see. On clear days, one could stand at the edge of the temple grounds and see the valley below, dotted with villages and winding rivers. But on this particular morning, a thick fog had rolled in, shrouding everything in a veil of grey. The world beyond the temple seemed to have disappeared, leaving only silence and stillness in the meditation hall. Master Kiyoshi sat with his students, their faces serene as they focused on their breath. Among them was a young monk named Haruto, who had been struggling with feelings of uncertainty and doubt. No matter how hard he tried to quiet his mind, questions about his path and purpose would rise like waves. Breaking his concentration when the session ended, Haruto approached Master Kiyoshi, bowing deeply before speaking. Master, he said, I feel lost. My mind is clouded with doubts, and I cannot see the way forward. How can I find clarity when everything feels so uncertain? Master Kiyoshi regarded the young monk with a gentle smile. Come with me, he said, rising from his seat. He led Haruto out of the meditation hall and into the courtyard, where the fog hung heavy in the air. The outlines of the trees and buildings were faint, their shapes blurred and indistinct. Do you see the path ahead? The master asked. Haruto squinted, trying to make out the stone pathway that led to the forest. No, master, he replied. The fog is too thick. Master Kiyoshi nodded. Wait here, he said. He disappeared into the temple and returned moments later, carrying a lantern. Lighting it, he handed it to Haruto. The warm glow of the flame illuminated the space around them, casting soft light on the stones beneath their feet. Now, walk with me, the master said. Together, they began to walk along the path, the lantern lighting their way. Though the fog still obscured the distance, the immediate steps before them were clear. With each step, the light revealed more of the path, guiding them forward through the mist. After some time, Master Kiyoshi stopped and turned to Haruto. Do you understand now? He asked. Haruto looked at the lantern, then at the fog surrounding them. I think so, Master, he said slowly. The lantern doesn't show the entire path, but it gives enough light for the next step. Master Kiyoshi smiled. Exactly. Life is often like this foggy path. We may not be able to see the destination or even what lies ahead, but if we focus on the step before us, the way will reveal itself in time. Clarity does not come from knowing the entire journey. It comes from trusting the light you carry within. You. The philosophy behind the story of the lantern in the fog, is a metaphor for navigating uncertainty and finding clarity in the midst of doubt. In life, we often seek certainty, hoping to see the full picture before taking action. But as the story illustrates, clarity is not about having all the answers, it is about trusting ourselves to take the next step, even when the path ahead is unclear. This teaching aligns with the Buddhist concept of mindfulness, which emphasizes living in the present moment rather than worrying about the future or dwelling on the past. By focusing on what is immediately before us, we can move forward with confidence. Even in the face of uncertainty, the lantern also symbolizes inner wisdom, the light we carry within ourselves. While external circumstances may be unpredictable, our ability to stay grounded and present allows us to navigate challenges with grace and resilience. A modern reflection. In today's fast-paced, ever-changing world, many of us feel like Haruto lost in the fog of uncertainty. Whether it's a career decision, a relationship challenge, or a personal struggle, we often long for a clear roadmap, a guarantee that everything will work out. But life rarely offers such assurances. The lesson of the lantern invites us to shift our perspective. Instead of trying to see the entire path, we can focus on the step before us, trusting that the way will unfold as we move forward. This approach not only reduces anxiety, but also helps us stay present and engaged with the moment at hand. Consider this. Is there an area of your life where you feel stuck or uncertain? What might happen if you stopped trying to figure out the entire journey and instead focused on the next small step? Guided reflection, trusting the next step. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in. Then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself standing on a foggy path, unable to see more than a few steps ahead. Feel the weight of uncertainty, the desire to know what lies beyond the mist. Now, picture yourself holding a lantern. Its warm light illuminates the ground before you, revealing just enough of the path for you to take the next step. As you walk, trust that the light will continue to guide you, one step at a time. Repeat silently to yourself, I do not need to see the whole path. I trust the light within me, guide my way. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of trust and presence with you into your day. Closing thoughts. The lantern in the fog reminds us that clarity is not about seeing the entire journey, it is about taking the next step with trust and mindfulness. By focusing on the present moment and staying connected to our inner light, we can navigate even the most uncertain paths with confidence and grace. As the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, you don't need to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 23. The butterflies struggle. In a quiet corner of the monastery garden, where the air was fragrant with the scent of blooming flowers, Master Eshin often sat beneath an old plum tree. The garden was a place of reflection and learning, where monks would come to tend the plants or simply sit in silence, observing the rhythms of nature. One morning, as the sun cast its golden light over the dew-covered leaves, a young monk named Taro approached Master Ishin. He carried with him a troubled heart, weighed down by frustration and self-doubt. Master, Taro said, bowing deeply, I feel as though I am failing in my practice. No matter how hard I try, I cannot seem to overcome my struggles. It feels like I am trapped, unable to break free. Master Eshin regarded the young monk with a gentle smile. Come, he said, rising from his seat. Let us walk. The two made their way through the garden, their footsteps soft against the stone path. As they walked, Master Eshin stopped beside a small bush and pointed to a cocoon hanging delicately from one of its branches. "Do you see this cocoon?" the master asked. "Yes, master," Taro replied, leaning closer to examine it. "Watch carefully," Master Ishin said. Taro knelt beside the bush, his eyes fixed on the cocoon. After a few moments, he noticed it begin to move. Tiny tremors rippled through its surface as the creature inside struggled to emerge. The young monk watched intently, his heart aching for the butterfly trapped within. Master Taro said, "Should we not help it? If we cut the cocoon, it could be free." Master Eshin shook his head. "No, Taro. To help it now would do more harm than good. The struggle is necessary." Confused but trusting his teacher, Taro continued to watch. Slowly, painstakingly, Butterfly began to push its way out of the cocoon. Its wings were crumpled and wet, its movements weak and unsteady. For what felt like hours, the creature fought against its confinement, until at last it emerged fully, resting on the branch as it gathered its strength. "Why did it have to suffer so much?" Taro asked, his voice filled with both wonder and sorrow. Master Ishin placed a hand on the young monk's shoulder. "The struggle is what gives the butterfly its strength," he explained. "As it pushes against the walls of the cocoon, its wings grow stronger, preparing it for flight. Without the struggle, it would never be able to fly." Taro fell silent, the weight of the lesson sinking in. He realized that his own struggles, which he had viewed as obstacles, might actually be shaping him, strengthening him in ways he could not yet see. "Master," Taro said quietly, "does this mean my struggles are necessary?" Master Ishin nodded. "Yes, Taro. Each challenge you face is like the cocoon an opportunity to grow, to build the strength you will need for the journey ahead. Do not fear the struggle. Embrace it, for it is through struggle that you will learn to soar." The philosophy behind the story of the butterfly's struggle, is a profound metaphor for personal growth and transformation. In life, we often view challenges and hardships as barriers to our happiness, something to be avoided or eliminated. But as the story illustrates, these struggles are not obstacles, they are essential parts of our journey. In Buddhist philosophy, this idea aligns with the concept of dukkha, or suffering, which is seen not as something inherently negative, but as a natural part of existence. Through mindfulness and acceptance, we can learn to see our struggles as opportunities for growth, rather than sources of despair. The butterfly's emergence from the cocoon also reflects the Zen teaching of resilience. Just as the butterfly's wings are strengthened by its struggle, our own inner strength is forged through the challenges we face. By embracing these experiences with patience and courage, we prepare ourselves to navigate life's uncertainties with grace. A modern reflection in today's world, many of us shy away from struggle, seeking comfort and ease wherever possible. We may view setbacks as failures or signs that we are not on the right path. But the lesson of the butterfly invites us to reframe our perspective. What if our struggles are not holding us back, but helping us grow? What if the very challenges we wish to avoid are the ones that will teach us how to fly? Consider this. Is there a difficulty in your life that you've been resisting or avoiding? How might your experience change if you viewed it as an opportunity for growth rather than an obstacle? The story reminds us that while struggle may be uncomfortable, it is also transformative. By facing our challenges with an open heart, we can discover strengths we never knew we had. Guided reflection, embracing the struggle. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself as a butterfly inside a cocoon. Feel the tightness around you, the resistance as you push against the walls. Now, picture yourself continuing to push, not with frustration, but with determination. With each effort, your wings grow stronger, preparing you for the moment when you will break free. Trust that the struggle is shaping you, giving you the strength you need to soar. Repeat silently to yourself, "My struggles are my teachers. Through them, I grow stronger." When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of resilience with you into your day. Closing thoughts, the butterfly struggle reminds us that growth often comes through discomfort and challenge. By embracing our struggles with patience and courage, we can transform them into opportunities for strength and wisdom. As the Zen master Shunryu Suzuki once said, "The most important thing is to find out what is the most important thing." Often, it is through our struggles that we discover what truly matters. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 24. The echo in the valley. The valley was quiet, its rolling hills blanketed in soft green grass and dotted with wildflowers swaying gently in the breeze. A narrow path wound through the landscape, leading to a small temple nestled at the base of a mountain. It was here that Master Guinan lived, spending his days teaching the wisdom of Zen to those who sought his guidance. One morning, a young man named Kato arrived at the temple. He was known in his village for his quick temper and sharp tongue, often lashing out at others when things did not go his way. Though he was skilled in his trade and respected for his talents, Kato felt a growing sense of isolation. His anger had driven away friends and strained his relationships, leaving him lonely and bitter when he reached the temple. Kato found Master Guinan sitting on the veranda, sipping tea as he gazed out at the valley. Bowing deeply, Kato spoke. "Master," he said, "I have come seeking your help. My anger controls me, and I cannot seem to escape it. No matter how hard I try, it always returns, causing harm to myself and those around me. What can I do?" Master Guinan set down his teacup and regarded the young man with a calm expression. "Come with me," he said, rising to his feet. He led Kato down the path that stretched into the valley, their footsteps soft against the earth. After some time, they came to a wide clearing surrounded by hills. The air was still, and the only sound was the distant chirping of birds. Master Guinan stopped and turned to Kato. "Shout into the valley," the master instructed. Kato hesitated, unsure of what the master meant. "Shout?" he asked. "Yes," Master Guinan replied. "Call out whatever is in your heart." Feeling slightly foolish but trusting the master, Kato cupped his hands around his mouth and shouted, "I am angry." His voice echoed off the hills, repeating his words back to him. "I am angry. I am angry. Do you hear that?" Master Guinan asked. "Yes," Kato said, frowning. "It's my own voice." "Now shout something kind," the master said. Got Kaito, thought for a moment, then called out, "I want peace." Again, the valley echoed his words. "I want peace. I want peace." Master Guinan smiled. "Do you see? The valley reflects back. Whatever you send into it, your anger returns to you because that is what you put out into the world. If you wish to experience peace, you must first offer it." Kato stared at the hills, his mind turning over the master's words. He realized that his anger was not just a reaction to the world, it was also shaping the world around him. By lashing out, he had created an environment of conflict and tension, which only fueled his frustration further. But Master Cato said, "How can I stop being angry? It feels so strong, like a fire I cannot control." Master Guinan placed a hand on the young man's shoulder. "Anger is like the echo," he said. "It arises from what you give it. When you feed it with harsh words and actions, it grows louder. But if you respond with kindness and patience, the echo will soften, and eventually it will fade." The philosophy behind the story of the echo in the valley, illustrates the principle of cause and effect, a central teaching in Buddhism. Known as karma, this concept emphasizes that our actions, whether physical, verbal, or mental, ripples that shape our experiences. Just as the valley reflects back Cato's shouts, the world mirrors the energy we project into it. In Buddhist philosophy, anger is seen as one of the three poisons kleshas that cloud the mind and lead to suffering. However, it is not something to be suppressed or ignored. Rather, it is an opportunity for mindfulness and transformation. By observing our anger without judgment and choosing to respond with compassion, we can break the cycle of reactivity and create a more peaceful inner and outer world. The story also highlights the interconnectedness of all things. Our thoughts, words, and actions do not exist in isolation. They influence the people and environments around us, which in turn shape our own experiences. This understanding invites us to take responsibility for the energy we bring into the world. A modern reflection in today's fast-paced and often stressful world, many of us struggle with anger, whether it manifests as frustration, impatience, or resentment. We may find ourselves snapping at loved ones, venting on social media, or harboring grudges that weigh heavily on our hearts. Yet, as the story reminds us, anger is not just something we feel, it is something we perpetuate through our actions. Consider this. Is there a situation or relationship in your life where anger has taken root? How might the dynamic change if you approached it with kindness instead of hostility? What echoes are you creating in your own valley, and how can you shift them toward peace? The lesson of the echo invites us to pause and reflect on the energy we are putting into the world. By choosing to respond with patience and compassion, we can transform not only our own experience, but also the experiences of those around us. Guided reflection, transforming the echo. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself standing in a vast valley, surrounded by hills that echo back every word you speak. Now, think of a recent moment when you felt anger or frustration. Picture yourself shouting those feelings into the valley. Hear the echo returning to you, amplifying the emotion. Next, imagine speaking words of kindness and understanding into the valley. Perhaps you say, "I forgive," or "I choose peace." Listen as the valley reflects these words back to you, filling the space with warmth and light. Repeat silently to yourself, "What I send out, I receive. I choose to create peace." When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of intention and mindfulness with you into your day. Closing, thoughts that echo in the valley reminds us that the energy we project into the world is mirrored back to us. By cultivating kindness, patience, and compassion, we can break the cycle of anger and create a ripple effect of peace in our lives and beyond. As the Buddha once said, "Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love." This is the eternal rule. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. 25. The moon in the water, the night was calm, and the temple courtyard lay bathed in the soft glow of moonlight. The full moon hung high in the sky, its silvery light reflecting off the surface of a still pond at the center of the garden. Air was cool and quiet, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves in the breeze. Master Daichi sat cross-legged on a stone bench near the pond, his gaze fixed on the water's surface. Beside him stood a young monk named Riku, who had come to the master with a question that had been troubling him for weeks. "Master," Riku began, bowing deeply, "I have been meditating diligently, studying the teachings, and following the path as best I can. Yet I feel no closer to enlightenment. It seems always just out of reach, like something I can see but cannot grasp. What am I doing wrong?" Master Daichi turned his eyes from the pond to the young monk, his expression calm and thoughtful. "Come," he said, gesturing for Riku to sit beside him. "Look into the water and tell me what you see." Riku obeyed, leaning forward to peer into the pond. "I see the reflection of the moon," he said, "and if you were to reach into the water to take hold of it, what would happen?" The master asked. Riku frowned, confused by the question. "The reflection would break apart," he replied. "The harder I tried to grab it, the more it would disappear." Master Daichi nodded. "Exactly. And yet, is the moon not already there, shining above us?" Riku looked up at the sky, where the moon hung clear and bright. "Yes, Master," he said. "The moon in the water is like enlightenment," Master Daichi explained. "It is not something you can grasp or possess, for it is not separate from you. The more you chase after it, the further away it seems. But when you let go of striving and simply allow yourself to be, you will realize that it has been with you all along." The young monk fell silent, his mind turning over the master's words. He realized that he had been approaching his practice with the wrong mindset, treating enlightenment as a goal to be achieved, rather than a truth to be experienced. In his efforts to grasp it, he had overlooked the stillness and clarity that were already present within him. But Master Riku said after a moment, "How can I stop striving? How can I learn to simply be?" Master Daichi smiled faintly. "Begin by observing the water," he said. "When it is disturbed, the reflection of the moon becomes unclear. But when it is still, the moon appears in its fullness. Your mind is the same when it is restless. You cannot see clearly. But when it is calm, the truth reveals itself." The philosophy behind the story of the moon in the water, is a classic Zen parable that illustrates the nature of enlightenment and the futility of striving. In our search for meaning, happiness, or spiritual awakening, we often treat these things as distant goals, believing that they lie somewhere outside ourselves. But as the story reminds us, enlightenment is not something to be attained, something to be realized. It is already present, like the moon in the sky, waiting to be seen. This teaching aligns with the Buddhist concept of non-attachment. By letting go of the desire to achieve or control, we create space for insight and clarity to arise naturally. The story also emphasizes the importance of stillness and mindfulness. Just as the reflection of the moon becomes clear when the water is still, our understanding deepens when we quiet the mind and remain present. A modern reflection in today's world. Many of us are like Riku, constantly striving for something we believe will complete us. Whether it's success, recognition, or inner peace, we chase after these things with the belief that they are somewhere out there. But this relentless pursuit often leaves us feeling frustrated and disconnected, as though the very thing we seek is slipping further away. The lesson of the moon invites us to pause and reflect. What if what we're searching for is already within us? What if, instead of striving, we allowed ourselves to simply to sit with the stillness and trust that clarity will emerge? Consider this. Is there something in your life that you've been chasing, a sense of purpose, fulfillment, or understanding? What might happen if you stopped reaching outward and turned inward instead? Guided reflection. Seeing the moon within, find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, then exhale slowly. Imagine yourself sitting beside a still pond on a calm night. See the reflection of the moon on the water's surface. Its light, soft and steady dot. Now, picture the water becoming disturbed ripples, spreading across its surface, breaking the reflection into fragments. Notice how the image of the moon disappears, even though the moon itself remains unchanged. As you breathe, imagine the water settling once more. With each inhale, feel your mind becoming quieter. With each exhale, release any tension or striving. Watch as the reflection of the moon returns, clear and whole. Repeat silently to yourself, "The truth is already within me. I find it in stillness." When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of calm and clarity with you into your day. Closing thoughts. The moon in the water reminds us that the answers we seek are not found through effort or striving. They are revealed through stillness and presence. By letting go of the need to grasp or control, we open ourselves to the wisdom and beauty that already exist within us. As the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "Enlightenment is always there. Small enlightenment will bring great enlightenment. If you breathe in and are aware that you are alive, that you can touch the miracle of being alive, then that is a kind of enlightenment." Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on its meaning and share your thoughts. Together, let us continue to explore the timeless wisdom of Zen, one story at a time. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the timeless wisdom of Zen. Each story we've shared is like a lantern lighting the path, not to some faraway destination, but back to yourself, to the stillness, clarity, and peace that have always been within you. As you reflect on these stories, I invite you to take a moment to pause and breathe. What resonated with you? What lessons spoke to your heart? Perhaps there was a story that mirrored your own struggles or offered a new perspective on something you've been carrying. If so, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your reflections in the comments below. Your voice may inspire someone else who is walking their own path. If these stories have brought you even a small sense of calm or insight, consider supporting this space by liking this video and subscribing to The Empty Boat. Together, we can create a community where wisdom flows freely, like water, reaching those who need it most. And remember, life is not about finding all the answers. It's about learning to sit with the questions, to embrace the journey, and to trust in the unfolding of each moment. As the Buddha once said, you cannot travel the path until you become the path itself. Until next time, may you find peace in the present, strength in your struggles, and beauty in the ordinary moments of your day. Thank you for being here. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.